All right, all right. Haven't seen you in a couple hours, Chris. What's happening, man?
What's happening? They're way too long.
All right. Well, that was a lot of fun this morning.
Yes, yeah. I mean, you can tell those are things that both you and I are passionate about, and it's such an interesting topic, and I love talking about those things with agents, with consumers. I think it was really important that you mentioned that. Hey, let's make sure that we're telling the consumers what we're doing for them and all the value that we're providing. I mean, that's awesome.
As a side story on that was kind of interesting, kind of a segue. A friend of mine, I sold a beach lot to years ago, probably 3 years ago. A nice lot on Reddington Beach, and he built a beautiful house, probably $4.5 million house. And then he called me. He's like, "Hey, our daughter's having a baby, and we're going to be moving. And I think once you come over and tell us what you think the house is worth." And I said, "Okay." And they said, "Well, we've heard from some friends we should hire this agent, right, who's sold a lot of the high end stuff." And I said, "You know what? We're friends. Whatever you want to do is cool, right? I'll still help you in any way, shape, or form. But let me ask you just a couple questions." I said, "What do you think is the big benefit?" "Well, she does a lot of advertising and magazines and things like that." I said, "Okay, right." And so would I if it worked, right? "Well, what do you mean?" I said, "Well, you're moving to Orlando, right? So let me ask you a question." His wife, I said, "Let me see your phones for a second. Hold your phones up. And how are you searching for homes right now? Like which app are you using?" And let me just guess, it's Realtor.com and Zillow, right? There's no magazine that you're searching on that has anything special. I said, so 1982 just called and wants its advertising plan back. It just doesn't work, right? The reality is eyeballs are on properties nonstop. I said, what you're hiring is somebody to have your back, and somebody who actually understands how to sell, because this sale, and this is true for every house, a sale is making people feel comfortable and making them feel confident to make a step, which is to purchase your property, right? And let me just explain some of the things that we do as a company to make things work, right? For example, let me talk about when somebody drives up in their car. Here's what I can tell about them right up front. Blah, 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 disc, VIK, all those things, mirror matching connection, all those things, make them feel comfortable. So nobody needs this house. This is the last thing anybody needs. This is an emotional purchase that requires a comfort level. And my whole job becomes comfort. And that's the whole thing. So we talked about agency and we talked about sales. And I said, well, let me ask you a question. How much of that did the other person ever mention to you, especially agency? And the answer was none. I said, well, ultimately the decision is yours to who do you feel comfortable having your back in a negotiation and making sure that we can get the best price that we can and having your back. Do whatever you feel is right. And then he said, 100%, no question about it. You take this. Right?
I love the fact that not being attached to the outcome. I'm not attached to the outcome. I told you that right from the get-go. You look, I mean, we're friends. We're going to be friends. Everything's going to be fine no matter what. You do whatever you feel is best for you. But let me ask you a few questions. And in every question you asked him, walked him down that road, made him think, feel, look, see at what's important to him. And that's all we do. We're just holding hands and walking down the road, just trying to get him to what makes the most sense for you. If it makes sense, it makes sense. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Let's figure it out together.
And either one's fine, right? Literally, it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter. I mean, I know, but this goes back to yesterday. I know for a fact that there's nobody that's going to out negotiate and out work me. And I hope that comes across the right way, okay? Because you have to have this exact same passion,
Yep.
right, as I do. And I know for a fact, right, because shit, I've been doing it for 20 something years. I understand my trade. I understand how to work a contract. I understand how to crank up inspection period dates and loan approval dates and how to use contingencies and force different things and talk to the lenders and squeak out all the information I can. I understand how to call out BS, right? And there's a value to that. And you guys understand the same thing. And by being in classes and days like this, you're just elevating your level. And you've got to talk about it, guys, or you're just going to be another realtor. And realtors are like dinosaurs and they're going extinct, right? You have to become a passionate communicator that brings value.
On top of the 20 some years of experience and knowing exactly what the hell you're doing, just that mindset that you have about that. And when you give that kind of attitude and mindset off, you attract that kind of attention and attraction back to you. Law of attraction. You put those thoughts out there, that feeling, that confidence, that you exude that, you get people that give that right back to you. They in turn have confidence in you. They believe in you. They know you can do that. So a combination of all those things You just step in there and they just know you're the right person for the job. And then as you walk them down that path, we're just answering a couple questions, and all of a sudden the decision is theirs when you were the one that was right there, got their trust, walked them through it, and they're good to go.
Yep. And when they ask you to sign the contract is when you know you win, right?
Yeah, right. When are we going to get to the contract signing? I just want to get this over with.
But going back to what we talked about this morning, now don't think that I didn't sit in that room and walk through that door in neutral, right?
Yeah.
And sense the moods and sense the energy and sense the attitudes and watch the facial expression and the attitudes and all the stuff that's going on. And I just stepped right into their world, which is what we talked about this morning.
I don't
Right?
care
And
if they're your best friend, a family member. I don't care who they are. You better have a process, and you better go back to basics and to neutral every single time, because you may know something about them, but they're expecting something different from you maybe for this. So you have to go into neutral, and you got to get into that mode every single time. That's your job. They deserve that from you. They don't just deserve to be your friend. They deserve to get the best of you, the best at what you're doing, the best of your job. And that's to make sure that you can communicate with them and they know they can trust you, and you know you can trust them.
and the other part of this is you're 100% right, is you have to have a pipeline, because guys, not everyone's going to want to work with you. And not everyone's going to be realistic on the price. Not everyone's going to meet your definition of a good lead or a good client. And you're going to want to walk away. And sometimes they're not going to hire you. And sometimes it might hurt your feelings, but get over it, grow up, and next, right? That's the biggest number. But if you're attached to the outcome, you're going to be devastated when you don't get stuff through. So today we're talking about FSBOs and expireds, which is a numbers game. All this is just a accumulation process, right? Is figure out who you're going to talk to and why. And I truly believe, as when I was just starting out as an agent, I love for sale by owners and expireds, because if you're going to just go logically for a second, let's find people that want to sell their house. That's the name of the game. It's listings or buyers, and you're kind of going to gravitate towards what you're going to work on first. And I just learned early age that listings are the name of the game. That was Mike Ferryized, right? And the business is talk to people. The more people you talk to, the more money you make, and talk to people that want to sell their house, and you're going to have whatever lifestyle you want, right? That's holds so true today, just exactly the same as it did then. So FSBOs already want to sell their house, expireds already want to sell their house, and they see the value in an agent. So they're the perfect people to go after and connect with and build trust with, right? It's perfect.
Yep, I had the same when I first started in the business. The FSBOs that's what I focused on in the beginning. The first 4 listings that I got were all for sale by owners, and I was able to get 2 of them within the first 30 days of starting to make those calls, just from taking that kind of mentality. Look, they want to sell their home. I think it's if I'm not doing my duty and my job as an experienced professional real estate agent, if I don't call them, if they end up listing with somebody else, I did them a disservice by not calling them. And that's the mindset I told myself, and I just went out, picked up the phone, and tried to connect.
That's right. And especially today, guys, like I said the other day in the opening statements with Craig, as long as you get into the living room, you won, right? Or the Zoom call, the presentation is the win, right? The outcome of the presentation is something we can just tweak along the way. But your win is getting to, let me show you what I can do. Let me show you what I think the home is worth. Let's talk about it together. Let's have a listing presentation, right? That's your win. If you don't get it, oh well, right? You're not going to get them all, and you don't want them all. But you should just not feel good if you don't get in front of them in the living room. If you can't, presentation is the name of the game. So we're going to talk today about what the mindset of a FSBO, the mindset of an expired, and how we can enter into their world to just get an appointment, guys. That's the win, right? So, I love this one, the FSBO cocky matrix.
The cocky matrix. I love it. The cockiness factor here.
So here's the issue. So we've got cockiness is the light blue line, and motivation is the dark blue line. So be realistic. If you, especially in this market, read the headlines. Markets are the all-time low, lowest inventories ever. Interest rates are the slowest ever. Buyers' demand is unreal. It is unbelievable. And every one of us is shouting out on our Facebook, Instagram, I need inventory, I need inventory. So you're sitting there thinking, hey, honey, you want to sell the house? It's a $300,000 house. Everyone's charging us 6%. It's 18 grand, right? Let's try it on our own and throw 18 grand into a badass trip. Or how about a year of private school, right? We're dumb to not start. Let's try it. Yep. So change your thinking going in. Why not? Try it.
Also think of this, they're thinking of their friend, 1 out of every 75, 80 people has a license. They're thinking of their friend who's an absolute moron who got his real estate license and has a couple listings. And they're saying, he did it. Why don't we just do it on our own? We could save 18, 20, $30,000, whatever that number is. So you really got to understand where their head's at and what they're thinking. And it's a logical thought process. Why the hell wouldn't you?
And this is something I tell this story a lot in Next Level. One of my friends, Kenny, when he moved over here from Texas,
Oh
he said,
yeah.
I need an agent. And he said, give me one. I said, nope. Go get a FSBO sign, go to Home Depot, get a Sharpie, write your phone number on the front. He goes, I don't have time. It's a corporate reload. I got to get out of here. I said, I know, but we are going to find the most active, aggressive agent in your neighborhood. And we're going to interview them. I'm going to tell you what to interview them with. And I'm going to help you choose one. Right. So that's what he did. Put a sign out front. And he found the agent that was actually knocking on doors, aggressive, and worked that marketplace. I was hungry and passionate. Right. So you got to think about, there's a lot of people doing that too. And then, but let's walk through this matrix for a second. So you start out saying, honey, let's try it. 18 grand's 18 grand. You know, I used to sell Girl Scout cookies. I'm a badass person, whatever the deal is. They all have their own little success stories. So let's try it. And they say, okay. So the sign goes in the yard. Motivation isn't there. It's getting there. There's a reason they have to make their bed, right? So they've got to go through something. There's a reason they want to sell, but it's not pressing them in the face right now. So they're trying it. And then as soon as the sign goes up, what happens? Nosy neighbor, nosy neighbor, nosy neighbor, nosy neighbor. Hit Zillow. Everybody's got saved searches. A new one came up. Oh, it's a for sale by owner. Let me see if I can take advantage of these guys. Let me call them. What's going on? So their cockiness level actually goes way up in the very beginning. And here's the problem. You as an agent, knock on their door or call them right now, right? What is their mindset in this stage of their FSBO career?
I just got 15 calls in the first 2 days. I have my neighbor who said his sister's brother wants to buy it because they want to be close to them. My other neighbor's thinking of putting their mom in the house so they could be even closer. Right around the corner, I got a buddy in New Jersey that said, we've always wanted to be in Florida. He called me as soon as we were talking about it. Everybody wants my house. It's going to sell. I don't need you. No problem. Thanks so much. Leave me your number, but I won't need it. And I'm not going to call you back.
Oh, no, because the seller's a marketing Jedi master at this stage. And it was the magic Sharpie that just made pixie dust fly around the house. And it's absolutely going to sell for probably over full price. So
Yep.
that's what you're walking in. So you knock on the door and say, hi, I'm Shirley with Century 21. When do you want to interview for an agent? He says, right, everything Chris just said, summarized into that little move right there. And then you're like, Chris, this doesn't work. These guys are mean. And you're like, FSBOs don't work. Okay. And then so you go to another one, get the same type of thing. But this is a process. And I want you to follow the process. So the first week, first couple weeks, phones are ringing, showings are coming, the neighbor's mom, sister's, cousin's dog wants to come see it. All the stuff's happening. And they get really cocky along the way. So you as an agent, or if you're finding them at that stage, you just have to be prepared and mentally say, okay, here's what I'm dealing with. They got a cocky matrix. They're on this wave somewhere along the line, all depending on motivation.
Align with them. Align with. That's awesome. I'm so happy for you. That's amazing that you have that many people coming to see your home this weekend. Holy shit, it's probably going to be sold by that weekend. Why don't I give you a call on Monday and just double check to see if you need any help with the contract that they're going to write on it and see if we can walk through that. Get them
Right.
align with them. Let them know you did an awesome job. That's great.
Man,
You'll get a better
I
result.
love it.
Yeah.
Who are you using? Who's your title company? I'll tell you what, I got a mortgage buddy. I don't care if they use them or not, but I'm just trying to help you. Let's make sure the buyer that you find is super pre-qualified before you sign that contract. I'll look at it for you. I'll give you my title girl if you want to, right? I don't want a penny from you, man. I want to make sure you just get as much as you can from this one. That's fantastic, right? That's the mindset. This is the only thing you can do at this stage, because any one of you who says, well, did you know that 95% of for sale buyers end up hiring an agent and they end up selling for 6% less than normal?
Bam, there's another one. That's all they're thinking. Like, it doesn't matter what you can try. You can't sell them on anything. That's all they're thinking is get out of my face, out of my face. I got this.
You can't sell them on anything. The only job that you're doing is to align and build trust and hold their hand along the process and help them. Because guys, think about the byproduct. What if a buyer comes and say, oh man, I love your house, but we really needed that extra bedroom. I was hoping that den would do it, just not big enough. I want him to say, you know what? I got a good buddy of mine. His name is Jeff. Here's his card. Why don't you call him? Right? Is that a good byproduct that might happen? If I'm not a pushy salesperson, I want to be there.
Yep, not attached to the outcome, because we don't know what that outcome is going to be. The outcome could be the neighbor's home that you list. because you did such a great favor for this guy and took such good care of them. That could be the absolute outcome. So don't attach to an outcome that you already made up in your head.
That's right. And where are you moving to, man? I'm a badass negotiator. I don't want a penny from you, but how about I hook you up with a badass agent down in Naples? Right? I've got the best network in the planet, which you heard about earlier today. Right? So help them. Your whole job is to hold the hand and make them feel supported along this way. Now, it might sound odd because you really want the listing, but you really don't. You want $130,000. And the $130,000 is the byproduct of building trust and helping them through this process, because I promise you, he knows the neighbors, as Chris was just saying. And he's got moms, dads, uncles, sisters, coworkers, and everything along the way too. And yes, there are other agents that he wants to, but we're going to be doing things that other agents aren't going to do, because if you were paying attention to us earlier, you're going to be shifting into neutral, and you're going to be finding some commonalities, and you're going to be mirroring, matching, and checking out his eye contact and his posture and his gesture and his vocabulary and his words. He's going to say, I love you. I'm not using you, but I love you. Right?
Yep.
And that's great. That's all we're doing. So this cockiness matrix goes up, and you're riding with them all the way along. So this is every Monday. Hey man, how's it going? Oh God, you got one on the hook? What can I do to help? Can I call them? I want nothing from you, dude. I want to make sure this happens. What can I do for you? Let me take a look at your contract.
Yeah, think of it like this. How are you going to get into their tribe in the beginning? When you're calling them, you're not trying to sell them. You're not trying to get their listing. I'm trying to figure out how I can get into your tribe. Because if you sell your home on your own, I still want to be on you in your tribe, because your neighbor's not going to be the one that wants to sell their home on their own. They're the type that they want hands off, somebody else do it, take care of it. And they're going to tell the neighbor about how awesome you were. You took care of them, you aligned with them, all of those things that they trusted you. You felt like you could trust them to list your home if you did it that way, if you didn't sell it. So that's your job. Let's build some trust. How do I get to be part of your tribe in the beginning?
And never, ever, ever fight with them. Because the one thing you don't want to do is continue a conversation that somebody's given you resistance, right? I'm all about resistance free selling, frictionless process. That's it. So I'm here with you. Go back to the matrix. I'm here with you here. That's awesome. Oh my God, you're an amazing person. Maybe I could take some sales classes from you, dude. That's awesome. You got that many phone calls? Sweet, awesome, cool. And then what's really going on is he gets a lot of showings. You know the drill. And people say, oh my God, I love this house. It's fantastic. Don't sell it to anybody else. I'll call you tomorrow. We're going to sleep on it tonight. And the guys ghost on him. And then 5 people ghost on him, 6 people ghost on him. Somebody gives him an offer that's 80 grand under his asking price, right? You know the drill, it happens, but we can't tell him this is gonna happen, because then we're fighting him. Now we're just going, oh man, are you kidding me? That's unbelievable. And then when it starts breaking, the confidence and the cockiness starts to break, saying, honey, I know you've been trying for a long time. It's been 3 weeks now. You know, what do you think we hire an agent? We really want to sell this house. She's now looking at houses, right, Naples, and they found one they really like, and they know they can't buy it because this house isn't sold. All this internal stuff's going on along the way, and all you're doing is being the guy that's there. That's your whole job. And walk in them, align with them, and walk down this path. Because as this starts to go up, the motivation goes up, and the cockiness has a couple little bumps along the way, but cockiness hits motivation, and it's a millisecond in time. I'm telling you, it happens this quickly. They blink, they search. Remember yesterday or earlier today, we talked about where your eyes go up and it says, honey, which agent should we have? Visual, recollection, remembered, right? Going back into ours, remembered. So when they search and go to remembered, your face better pop up. And if it doesn't, you're dead, because there's no selling your way into that space. It's only trusting your way into that space. So that is the name of this game, guys, is holding the hands along the process until they're ready to make the move. And that millisecond, you win. And you don't know if it's this week or 3 months from now, guys, because you don't control their motivation. You don't control their internal chatter. You don't control anything. You can't sell. You just have to be there and hold their hand. So you better have a pipeline full of these.
And I think
if you're going to use them.
That's important to know. So one of the chats came in and says, is this chart for 30, 45, or 60 days?
Yep.
It's not really a specific timeline, because you never know. I mean, you can have a for sale by owner that's out there and he's cocky for 30 days, 60 days. And it takes his wife putting her foot down and saying, that's it, we're not doing this anymore. And all of a sudden it shifts. But it can happen after the first week, because he gets 20 million phone calls and he just doesn't know what to do and can't keep up with it. And it shifts then too. We never know when that's going to be. That's why it's so important just to be able to earn their trust and become part of their tribe. Because at any point in that 30 days, 45 days, 7 days, 60 days, 90 days, at any point during that, that's when that can really shift. And you need to be the person that's right there with them. And that's why you fill your pipeline up, because you're going to have some that may convert or give you an opportunity 7 days in, others that are going to be 60, 90, 120 days in. Some are going to sell, and that's great, but that's why you got to have that pipeline filled up with them.
That's right. And how many should you have in your pipeline? Depends on your business plan, guys. Depends on how much money you want to make. And in my opinion, it needs to at least be 20. You need to have, if you're going to work this as your pillar, you need to have at least 20 of these that you have this relationship with people saying, hey man, how's it going? What do you need from me? And I'm going to show you the FSBO guide again in a couple minutes, and little things that you're going to be able to give them. I mean, there's so many different touch points. Give them a copy of the contract, give them the home inspection, give them this with certified pre-love, give them your home inspector, give them the title guy, give them the mortgage guy, right? Walk the house, help them out, declutter the house, do things. I mean, give, right? And you're earning the trust along the way.
One of the chats just came and said, Palm Beach County, at least 20% sell on their own. That's awesome. That's so much easier for you to call them. Now it's completely resistance free. You reach out to me and tell them, hey, I mean, you got a great chance to sell this thing on your own. I just want to know how I can help you. Now you just align with them, get in their pocket, get in their tribe, get in their family, help them any way you can. Like Jeff was saying, get them a title person, get them a seller's property disclosure, get them a loan officer, give them a little bit of help on staging the property if anything looked a little off. Let's just kind of have some conversations, get in their tribe, because if 20% sell on their own, what do the 80% do? There's another 80% out there. Let's look at the other side of it. Let's look at the 80% that don't. And do you know which one is going to be the 20% that sells? We don't know. So let's get out there, fill your pipeline full of the people that you can connect with. And even if they do sell on their own, now you have it. Hey, keep me in mind. What about your neighbors? Have you talked to anybody over there? Or even do some circle prospecting around it and say, hey, your neighbor's home sold in 20 days. We've got a ton of buyers lined up. And I was just curious, when do you plan on selling yours? You got a lot of different opportunities there, but this is all predicated on you making those contacts in the beginning and aligning with them and making it resistance free and just getting into their tribe.
Remember our temple, our little fuck out temple, right? I really want you guys to just allow this to just take over your minds for a little bit. And all you really need is the total emotional connection to know that you're going to make 10 grand this month. Okay, I'm telling you. And then stop getting attached to the outcome of Mr. Jones on Oak Street, right? It's going to kill you. It's going to destroy your business. All you're doing is making sure that you're talking to Mr. Jones on Oak Street, because you just got to unattach, guys, and say, what's going on? How can I bring you value today? That's all you have to do. And then you don't know if Mr. Jones on Oak Street's cousin, right, is just relocating a big company down here. It's amazing the things that happen. When you get unattached to the outcome and don't get commission breath and go from a point of giving and building trust and connecting, that's all you have to do. So when I'm saying you have 20 people, there's 20 people that you are actually connecting with to say, what can I do to bring value to your life right now? What can I do to help you? Without asking for a damn thing in return, because it will come back to you multiple times over. You know the old laws, and it just is the way it is. So that is the one thing I have to figure out how we can stress this, guys, is just let it be, just roll through. Now, how do you find these FSBOs, right? So this slide here, Zillow is my favorite thing on the planet, man. It's just so nice to do that. Or you could buy some subscription services. Go to Vulcan 7, go get the Red X. They'll do the searches and the polls of the FSBOs. And then if you want to try to find numbers a little bit better, so Century 21 and 21 Online, you've got the Spark system, and it's got forewarned. It's got about a 75–80% hit rate on contacts, guys. It's an amazing tool that's sitting right there. So you've got that, and you can go on to Remine and do all the searches you want for these people. Learn about them. How long do they live there? How much do they owe? What's their interest rate? Who's their mortgage with? Go on to Facebook, figure them out. What's going on with them? It's fantastic. You know, it's 123 Annie Street. You have their phone number from Zillow. Now just take an extra 2 minutes and learn about them a little bit, find some commonalities, and go talk to them and see what you can do to bring value. It's that simple.
So I've had some people ask me, why would I want to use like Vulcan 7 or the Red X or Land Voice or any of those companies for FSBOs? And here's why. There's a lot of people who go on Zillow, and if you are an I personality, you're going to down the rabbit hole you go. You're oh, pretty pictures, look at that. Well, that's never going to sell, and you just go crazy with it. If you're the type that doesn't have that set already out, and you can't just go to Zillow and pull numbers, pay for a service that has them. All you do is click a button, it spits all of the numbers, all of the addresses out, and then just go straight down the list. That way you don't mess with any of the other stuff with the pictures. Do what Jeff's saying, get onto Remine, Look at their sales score, look at their mortgage interest rate, look how long they've lived in a property, get some more information so that you're armed with a little bit more of that, but you're not going to be distracted by trying to grab it off Zillow. That's why you would pay for a service like that. But in the beginning, you don't need it. Go to Zillow, pull all the for sale by owners off of it that you can, and just start calling. And guess what? If you don't want to screw it up in the beginning, call somebody in a different county. Call them in someplace else that you wouldn't list them at. And it doesn't matter if you screw it up in the beginning or not. Get some practice with them. Get into that practice and hone your skills in. So when you go in and you start calling to people in your area, now you're much better for it.
That's absolutely right. And then when you're recalibrating yourself and realizing that all you're doing is saying hi in the same way that they're saying hi and asking them what you can do to bring some value to them, right? You're going to take the pressure off yourself because there's no pitch, guys. There's no sale. There's no way you got to make it happen. So they're going to say, ooh, come list me. Doesn't happen, right? You just have to be top of mind at that millisecond when the cockiness and motivation curve, they find that intersection point. That's the whole name of this game on there is that. RealSure is something that I don't think we started buying again yet. Chris, have you heard that? I don't know if they did or if they hit the pause.
I haven't heard if they've reopened. I know the company behind it, Home Partners, is buying homes in specific areas.
Their website's back up and it's active, and I popped in a couple addresses this morning, so it looks like it's back. I just haven't heard the official announcement.
Same here. Same here.
But if it's not, it will be. And RealSure is something that's amazing, guys. RealSure is your ace in the hole that you can talk to these guys and say, hey, look, while you're looking for another buyer, I've got a buyer who's looking for property in this property. I've already checked your house out and it's something they want to buy, and I'll give you an offer. And it's an offer that's good for 45 days. In fact, that's just part of the deal is you got to wait to see if you can get a better offer, but you could put this in your kitchen counter. So at least you know you have your house sold, right? And then that's just an angle. We'll do another class on that later, but go to realsure.com to check it out. It's something that's part of our Realogy family, right? That they put together with Home Partners hedge fund to do that, but it is an exclusive inside of Realogy. So it's pretty cool. So it's things we have other people don't have there. So short version on this is walk along the side of them, right? Don't sell them, be real, help them, connect with them, be there for them, and own the space in their mind as the knowledge broker. Your job is just to be the person they call and say, hey man, I've got a problem with my AC. Do you have a guy that can come over and fix it? Right? Everything that's home related, I want them to come to you and just stay there and just offer to help them. So going over here for a second, because I want you guys to see this. And I know we've talked about it before, but I want you guys to see it. So this is a FSBO guide that I think is pretty cool. Now, what I love about this, Chris, is the resistance that I hear from it. No way in hell I would ever give this to a seller. Are you crazy? That just, it undermines all of our value. You're giving them everything away for free. Why do we even need that? I have other agents call on me sometimes saying other agents from other companies saw that you guys doing this and they think it's the most ridiculous insult to the industry and screw you guys. And I love it, right? Because
they can Google or YouTube everything else out there, put it in their hands and be the person that gave them that value. Be the person that's here. Same thing, align, get that trust. Hey, I'm here to help. Here's what I would do if I was going to list my home on my own. Here's some of the things I would do. So just start taking a look through that. The reality is, go ahead.
No, I was saying thefsboguide.com. That's the website.
Mike also put it into the chat too. So for anybody online, you can get into the chat. There's a link there. If you just want to copy and paste it out of there, you can go to that. You can take a look at it. It's a public site, public info. And
I'm just going to flip through it real quickly here just to show you, because I think this is a really great thing Puma put together for us here. And this is a guide for selling your house. Why? And basis is, why would we do this? Well, because we actually care. I mean, you want to try it? Try it. Here's everything you need to do. How to get your price, how to work with the complexities, how to do the contract. There's the key exposure. Here's what you should do. Put your sign up. Make sure you text it to everybody. Put it on the internet. You can get on MLS websites. You can pay a fee to put it on the little shit websites to list yourself. Go on social media platforms. Put it on Marketplace. How should you position it? How are you going to search your competition? Go see your competitors. Pretend you're a buyer. Go stalk them. Go look at their videos. Go look at their other walkthroughs. What's important to you, time or money? Here's a sample high-level value range. Here's what it is. Here's your RPR. Here's your AVM. Here's your potential list price. You should maybe get an appraisal done. Why you should get an inspection up front. You should get a home warranty. Here's some paperwork. These are things about the contract. Here's the difference between the standard and the as is. All offers are not equal. Make sure that you really look at escrow, inspection periods, financing. Which contract should you use? Make sure here's the process. Researching the competition, the market. Get your photos. Get it listed. Put the sign. All these little check marks are saying this is thorough, man. If you're a C, you're going, yeah, baby. Right? If you're an I, you're going, oh God.
Do you know what most people, when they're looking at this and reading this, they're feeling this, they're doing this because they haven't done half of those things, and they're just feeling like they're getting beat up, and I need to do more, and I got to get some of that. And for the ones that are going to do it, that's awesome. Let them do it. But your job is, for those of you who think that FSBOs are too big of an objection and everybody else is calling them, this takes all of that out of their hands. Hey, I'm actually not calling about your listing like everybody else is. I'm actually calling because I want to deliver one of our guides to you, and I want to show you exactly what you need to do to sell your home on your own and get the most amount of money for it. When can I come by and drop that off for you? You're literally no objections right there. They can't object to that. Wait, so you're going to tell me how I could sell my home for the most value, and you're trying to help me, and you want to give me all the tools that I might need, and you're just going to drop it off and leave it for me and answer questions for me? Yeah, because I care.
What's the catch? What do you want?
No catch at all. So here I'm a professional in this market, and for me, it's all about making sure I give the best service. I think the majority of realtors don't provide the level of service that's expected of us. So I want to be the person that sets that difference. I want to be the one that everybody can turn to and say, you know, that's a great guy out there. I'm tired of hearing people relate realtors to used car salesmen. So I'm the person that's coming out here to make that difference.
There you go. And I know you have neighbors, and I know at the end of this transaction, when it goes well for you and I helped you, that you'll probably maybe put a good word and say I was a good guy along the way. That's all I really want. And just have the conversation. And I'm here. Here's my cell phone number. Call me, text me. I'll help you anyway along the way. Here you go. Print it out. Put your bio in it, right? Do a little stalking. If I know it's Joe and Shirley Wilson, and I go into public records and I go into Remind, guys, everything is at your fingertips now. And then I'm going to go find them on LinkedIn. I'm going to find them on Facebook. And I'm going to see when I can find them on Instagram, and I'm going to learn so much about them. So when I happen to drop by to drop off this guide, I might find a couple commonalities in that conversation. I might find a way to re-engage them in the next week and hold their hand and walk them down this cocky curve in this matrix, because guys, they know everything that's in this guide. Like Chris said, how do I sell my house? Type it into Google and on YouTube, and you can sit there and binge watch for weeks. And it basically says, do everything that you already know you need to do. Check out your comps, do some marketing, and sit back and get a good contract.
Now, this guide also gives you it literally can give you your step-by-step follow-up plan for the next, I don't even know how many weeks, with everything that's in there. All you do is pick one thing on the guide and call them back next week and say, hey, did you get a chance to do this? Or did you have a chance to look into that? Or I just wanted to call and check about that offer. Did you see the offer page? It asked about this, this, and this. You literally have a reason to call them every single week for the next like 6 months. And you have so many talking points with them that are completely, have no objection whatsoever. It's literally, I'm just here trying to help and provide value and trying to earn and trying to make sure that you know that I care.
Love it. And guys, I promise you this works. I know this works, and it will work for you. And there's zero resistance. There's no fear. Your drunk monkey is going to short circuit because he can't fight you on this one, because you're not doing anything except saying hi and asking what you can do to help. Now, it's up to you to make sure when you say hi, you're doing it from a neutral perspective. They're actually gaining positive impact, and the person actually enjoys the brief conversation with you, because that way you're repeating and approving and doing all the stuff we were role playing earlier. So then it's invited for a follow-up contact. Right? So you follow up with them at the end of the week, follow up again on Monday, talk to them, shoot them a text saying, I was just thinking about you. How are things going? A little video text here or there. Hey, Chris, it's Jeff. I just drove by your house. Want to see if you got any buyers yet. If you need anything, you hit me up, man. Bye. That's it. Never, hey, are you ready yet? You ready to hire me? No, they know that's what you want. They know you're there for that when time comes, right? Yep. Never even have to open your mouth, because we have this logo sitting around us on our chest and doing everything that we're doing. It's clear what we do. They know we're plan B. Just make sure that your plan B, and you're thought about in a favorable fashion, because they know 6 or 7 other agents, but they haven't done what you're doing for them, bringing them value and not pushing them.
Well, I think you made a good point about video texting. If you want to set yourself apart from the other 100, 200 agents that are out there calling, it's probably not even that many right now. But if you want to set yourself apart from them and you want to have the best opportunity to connect with that homeowner, video text them, meet them first, identify the VAKDISC, and then video text them and communicate with them with the way that they perceive what you're saying in the best light, and you can start earning more trust with them. You're going to be able to have the best impact on them by sending a video text. How many other agents are doing that? Their phone's just ringing and saying, well, I want to come over and interview. When can I get the job? Oh, well, when are you going to list your home with me? Send them a video text that's just checking in with them, and it's going to make such a bigger impact.
I just looked at the participants. Stephanie's on the line right now. not even with our Century 21 company, another Century 21 around the country. And she sent me yesterday after our class about the video text, and she said what she was started to text people, there's her phone number, and she sent me the video. During the break, she went over to a FSBO.
I am Stephanie Burrows, and I am with Century 21.
And she did her whole pitch of what she actually went to for silver, and she's never done it before. And she just had it. So that's success right there. She just said, you know what, I'm doing it. And I'm so stoked to get those text messages from you guys. It just fires me up.
Yes,
And,
yes.
but you can't do it one time.
Yeah.
Can't do it.
The fortune is in the follow-up, the old cliche, but it's so true. Less than 1% of all sales are made on the first contact, less than 2% on the second. You don't get to double digits until you get to contact number 4, the fourth time you're really talking to him, and then you're really only in like 15%. When you get to contact number 5, your chances of creating a sale go up over 50%, or just about 50%. So 5 through 8 is your money right there. You got to hit them back till you get to that 5th through the 8th contact. Now, sometimes it happens sooner, sometimes it happens later, but the average is the majority of sales happen between contact number 5 and contact number 8. So this is a game. This is a little bit of a longer play, but if you're in it for the long run and you play it the way we're telling you to play it, you're going to have such a better outcome than everybody else that's out there, because you're going at it from a trust factor. They're going at it from a sale factor. That's the difference.
That is the whole difference there, guys. It's just simple. Please just give us the blind faith of just saying, I know this works. Guys, we're aligned with you. We make money when you make money. So I promise you, we're not going to tell you anything that doesn't make us money too. Right. So just know that you've got a good partner here that's going to streamline your check, because your checks are check too. So you should embrace the fact that we do make money with you. So that's a good thing. You have our attention. Right. So we'll keep that there. So FSBO Guide is something to embrace. thefsboguide.com. Use it, download it, add your bio to it, add whatever you want to it, and to make it you. But this is just a good thing to kind of pass out. If you don't want to, don't. Right? It's up to you. It's just another thing for you to actually use. So expireds. So we'll switch the gears on for sale by owners. Please do it, guys. And it works, but please commit to it. Like we talked about at the very beginning, this is a July, August, September move, which is also October move. So just say, I'm going to go reach every single for sale by owner that is in my marketplace, and I'm going to get to know them. And I'm going to whittle down to the 20 that I had a good connection with. And I'm going to stay in touch with them every single week. And as they sell, or as they move on, or as they list, I'm going to replace them. So I constantly have 20 in my pipeline, 20, 20, 20, 20, 20, 20, 20, 20, 20, 20, 20. And you will never have to worry about money or income cash flow again, because you'll constantly have 3 or 4 listings in inventory, and they'll be cycling in and cycling out and selling in a new one. But you've got to keep 20 in your pipeline, guys. I promise you it works. And it's not hard. It just takes you having that why that says, okay, I need 10, 15 grand this month, and I will do this because I know it works, because I promise you it works.
Yeah,
Okay?
back to that mindset. When you put that why into your head and slowly work out your comfort zone so that why takes over, it makes a huge difference. You'll get better at it and more comfortable with it as you do more of it. But until you do more of it, it's always going to be the drunk monkey talking. So let's just get out and do it. It absolutely works. Just get a clear, concise focus, set a massive action plan. Let's take some steps and let's get it moving. That's all that it takes.
Okay, so FSBOs have an interesting process because they don't see yet the value of having an agent, right? So understand, part of their mental sale process to themselves is seeing value in having somebody represent them. So that's it. So the beautiful thing about expireds is that A, they have to sell. B, they're 6 months closer, most likely, to having to sell, because they started this process 6 months ago that's caused them to go through the mental anguish of hiring an agent, making their bed every morning, telling the kids to straighten up their toys, going through the stress, and they overpriced or whatever their issue was. They couldn't show it. Something happened. They took it off the market and it expired. Okay. They already see that there's a value to having an agent. They likely just didn't have a valuable agent, but they see the value of an agent. So you have to recognize that that happened, and you either have to mop up for the industry, right? And just kind of make up for the fact that they had somebody bad, or you have to just acknowledge what happened with their marketing or pricing and just kind of show them how you bring the value. So it is a totally different game than for sale by owners. It's a totally different approach, it's a totally different alignment, and you need to be ready for that. So understand what happened. Chris, why do you think people expire? What's the most common reasons the houses expire that you're finding?
Well, typically what you see, the most common reason is going to be, price and condition. Those are probably the combination of the two. The condition was a certain way and the price wasn't where it needed to be based on the condition, or the price wasn't where it needed to be, period, just for the house. It's usually a price issue for the most part.
For the most part, or they had a bad tenant. It's an absentee property and the tenant wasn't very conducive to showings, or who knows, or it smells like cat pee, right? Which is, it goes hand in hand with pricing, because somebody will take the cat pee house, just not at full retail. So it all goes back to supply and demand and what else is out there in the market. But the answer is, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, there's a million reasons a home's going to expire. And it really does not matter why it was off the market. What really matters is, how can I be the person that's there to help them? How can I be the one that can earn your trust back? And how can I help you?
And what I see a lot that stops a lot of agents in their tracks on expires is they say, well, they wanted 485 for it. And I don't think it's worth that. I don't even want to have that discussion, because when I tell them it's really worth 380, they're not going to like me. Right. So, and the drunk monkey wins because he won. It's irrelevant what they wanted for the house. It has zero bearing on the future. And today, 6 months ago, a month ago, yesterday might have been relevant. Today, it's irrelevant. The process is, what's going on in your world? When do you want to be somewhere? Why do you want to be there? Where do you want to go? And what can I do to help you? That's it. So how much do you think my house is worth? What do you think it should have sold for? Honestly, I haven't even gotten to that point in my process, because we're not there yet. I just want to see if there's something I think I can do to help you guys.
Yeah.
I'm Jeff, right?
If the price is your objection, I just talked with an agent 2 days ago that listed and expired. That's all he does. He listed it for $65,000 less than what it was listed for previously. So it has nothing to do with the price. When they see the value in what you provide, when they see that you like them, or they can like you and they trust you, and you're the person that's there just trying to be there to help them, there's going to be a great alignment between you. There's going to be some rapport that gets built, and it doesn't matter what you tell them it's worth, because they're going to trust you. It doesn't mean they're going to list it at that price, but they're going to trust that you have their best interest in mind.
Because you do. And if you don't, then you're not going to last in this business, guys. So you 100% have to get passionate about, how can I help these people? How can I enter their home and solve their problem, right? They've got a problem. There's something going on in their life that is causing a real estate move, which is stressful as hell, guys. It's not fun. Nobody enjoys moving. It's not good, right? So you have to understand, and you got to connect with these people. That's just the way that it goes down to. So it's there. So it goes back to these 3 questions. Can I trust you? Do they know that you're good at what you do? And do they know that you care about them? And these are the things that you can't just sell. You have to demonstrate, and you're going to demonstrate by seeing what you're going to do. So I wrote down here, let's explore their emotions. What do they actually want, right? Many times, guys, our best job is to talk people out of selling their house, right? And do you need the cash from this house? If you don't have equity and you think you could rent it for more than what your mortgage payment is, keep it as a rental property and go buy something else with 100% financing, right? Or 3% down, right? Talk to them and explore options and see if there's any way they can keep this asset, right? Same thing with for sale by owners. It's a great conversation to have with these guys. And if you don't think they've had the conversation with themselves, you're out of your mind. So why don't you go in selflessly and say, let me ask you a question. Is there any way possible you could still keep this house and not sell it? It's the most valuable asset held long-term you're ever probably going to have. So is it remotely possible you guys can keep this house and then go buy another one? Right? It sounds contrary, because I'm talking myself out of a check, right? Or am I? Or am I really talking myself into a $130,000 asset?
Correct. That's the difference there. And that's when you go in with that attitude, that's completely different. I've told people before, said, look, this is going to sound crazy coming from me, but I feel like I have to tell you, I mean, coming from somebody who only gets paid when I sell your home, if you don't have to sell this home, don't. Why would you? It's an amazing asset. It's an appreciating asset. You could rent this out and put cash flow in your pocket. You should probably never sell real estate at the interest rates that they are now with the amount of cash flow you can get. and tell them that, be honest with them. And they're going to tell you straight out, no, I really have to. Or, I never thought of that way. No other agent has really said that to me. They've all been just trying to get the property back on the market. It's going to give you a different perspective in their head, and they're going to see you as a person that they could trust.
Yeah, and especially if you say, hey, look, I did my research before I actually came over here, and I noticed that it looks like you have about 180,000 in equity, right? Which is, congratulations, by the way, that's fantastic. Have you ever talked to anybody about maybe doing a cash out refi on this house, right? And then maybe using some of that cash to make the other purchase, right? And then keep this, if you can rent it out for more than your payments would be, especially at low rates. It's something to explore, guys, and just throw an option out there. It's a game changer, guys. When you really approach this stuff without commission breath, things just naturally happen for you.
Yeah. Well, the questions that are there that you wrote in there, all of those get answered with your script. Our script goes right through every single one of those questions and gets you the answer that question is going after. So when you have that script and you always have something to come back to, and you follow the scripts and you have a system and a process for it, it's going to get all those questions answered. And that's really what you're after. Get some questions answered, build some rapport, build some trust.
Yep. And then go into the app, right? Boom. There's your app. Century 21 Beggins app. Opening up. In just 1 second. It says, where are my scripts? I've got written scripts and I've got audio scripts. So you could just listen to your scripts as you're walking around the neighborhood, going for a walk on the beach or whatever you're doing. You want to hit your written scripts, hit your written scripts. And it opens up and there are your scripts. You want to hit your expired script, go down to your expired scripts. And then look at it, right? We can't make it a whole lot simpler than that. You want to hear how it sounds, click the audio things, and it's me and Craig role playing them for you, right? So that's the simple. And then you can get the words completely out of the way with the expired. So you can actually pay attention to the way that they're standing and going, oh man, and then you need to change your mindset into, oh man, right? And your communication and connection totally changes that way, right? So that's the beautiful thing about it. So what I wanted to do with the last few minutes here is I want to actually role play the expired listing. Just in concept. I'm not worried about the exact delivery on it. And for the expired listing script, just right from the app right there. So, hey, it's Jeff Beggins, Century 21. Listen, the reason I'm calling, or the reason I'm here, is that your property showed up as an expired listing, and I was just calling to see, when can I interview? When are you going to interview agents for the job of getting the house sold?
Jeff, I really don't. It was such a horrible experience. I don't think that it's anything we're going to entertain right now. We're just really frustrated right now. So right now, I think we're holding off.
You're going to hold off? A little frustrated right now? I get it.
Yeah.
And why did you even decide to sell? Why did you try to go? If you sold the property, where were you guys trying to get to?
Well, we needed a bigger place. I mean, that was the whole reason we were doing it. We had another problem we really wanted. We needed to sell this one to get into that one, and it didn't work. So, the universe is talking to us. It's probably not meant to be.
So you found another house that you wanted and you tried, or you just knew that you wanted a bigger one?
I mean, well, you can get on an app and look at anything out there. We saw a bunch out there we liked. I mean, kind of had a couple we were really kind of eyeing in on. We didn't do anything with them, but we knew we had to sell this one first.
Okay. Yeah, a lot of times you do. Sometimes you don't. Really depends on the motivation of the seller and kind of their timings and issues and what's going on there. So no real time frame. It's just a matter of you and your family just wanting a little extra room then, right?
We need the room. We need the space, but like I said, it's probably just not meant to happen right now. So, I'm not sure what else to do right now.
Well, it didn't happen yet. And then when things work out the right way, they happens. When it happens, it happens. And the time's right, it's the time's right. What do you think stopped the house from selling? Because you're actively on the market there for a little while. Did you have any showings? Did you get some action, or?
No, I mean, we had people coming through. The agent said that everything was good with the price. The home looks great. I mean, it really doesn't need anything. So I don't know. If we knew that, we would have sold the home. But I mean,
I looked at the pictures. It looks great. I mean, you cleaned it up. It looks like you did some recent remodeling on it. I mean, it shows really well. So I'm actually surprised you didn't get some action on it there. How did you happen to pick the last company that you chose there? Just out of curiosity.
My wife knew a neighbor, and the neighbor had somebody that they had used before. So we had them come over, and everything seemed like it was a good fit. So it was just somebody that she knew.
Okay, so somebody that your wife knew seemed like it was a good fit, and that's kind of how that happened there. So they must have done some things. Just out of my professional curiosity, there, what do they do that you like best? Like, what are some things they did well?
I mean, they were with a large company, so a large brokerage that made me feel comfortable. I figured that they'd have the best opportunity and they knew what they were doing. I mean, I felt confident behind the brand that they were with.
Okay, so you felt comfortable with the brand. They have a large company, seemed like they knew what they were doing. So if you feel like you had the whole package sitting there, it just didn't kind of work out there. What do you think they should have done? Was there something that you kind of, I wish they would have done a little bit more? Like, what would that have been in your mind?
I mean, I don't know what y'all do or how y'all do it, but I mean, I didn't hear anything for about 3 to 4 weeks at a time. I mean, and when I would call and get an answer, all I got was, you need to lower your price, you need to lower your price. I mean, I get it, the price might have been on, but I mean, we haven't heard anything. Nobody told us what was going on with the home. Nobody called me. Nobody let me know anything. And whenever he did call, it was just tell me that you need to reduce the price.
You're kidding me. You'd go 3 or 4 weeks without any contact with them?
Wouldn't hear anything. I mean, you reach out with a phone call, you get a text message back, and it was just real simple. I just didn't hear anything. I mean, it just wasn't
Right.
fun. It wasn't a good experience.
Even bad news is or no news of just something. Hey, I had a show and they didn't like your house. Have a nice night. Right. That would have been fine. Just communications. Then, man, I'm sorry to hear that. That kind of reflects a little on the industry sometimes. Let's say things change and you do something again on this. And what are you going to expect from the next company that you do choose?
Obviously, to sell the house. I mean,
Mhm.
that's the goal.
Yeah,
I want to sell the dang house, but I mean, I also I need to hear something. I want to know if we don't know what's wrong or what's going on. I mean, how are we supposed to take our next step or change anything from that if nobody tells us?
I get it. No, you need to hear something. You've got to have that feedback. Whatever the feedback is, you need to hear it because that's the market speaking to you, right? That's no, I get it. I get it. Now, let me ask you this question. Are you still actively looking for another house? Is this something you still want to do? Or do you hit the pause button? I know you said the universe talking with you and all that stuff. But are you guys really seriously thinking about doing this again? Because the market is such right now. Let's say you and I get along and we work together, whatever it is in the future, and your house is going to sell, right? I'm going to get the house sold. There's not even a question in my mind, but it's scary because if you don't have another house in mind, you don't have everything buttoned up and ready, you're going to be in a bind. So let's pause for just a quick second and let's talk about really what you want. Are you working with a lender right now? Do you have everything set up to you? Because I want to make sure that you guys are in a perfect position to take advantage of these rates. And I think they're going to dip again. So just you're in a luxury pattern right now. You've got so many great things going for you because you don't have to do anything. You can just do it when it's right. And when the universe aligns and things work for you, you can just pounce. But when I work with my clients, I make sure that you're perfectly ready and to pull the trigger and then things just fall into place when they fall into place.
I'll tell you, if you ask my wife, we would be still moving. If you ask me, I'm not quite sold on it, but
Okay.
we've got all of that done. We talked with the bank, we have all the money, everything's lined up. It's really just come down to selling this. And for me, it's just, it didn't line up, but my wife still wants to. So depending on who you ask, you're going to get a different answer. But I mean, it just depends. Really, there's no certainty in it right now.
Okay. What do you want to do? Would you just remodel it? Would you add another room on? What's your solution?
I wish I had a more clear answer for you. All I know is that's what I wanted and it didn't work. And I just we just have to regroup.
Got it. It's regroup time. That's not a bad option, by the way, because when I looked kind of at the aerial of your house, it looks like your lot's pretty decent size. I don't know if you ever looked at it, but it might be an idea. You're sitting on some equity. Not a bad idea to talk to a contractor about maybe adding maybe another floor on, or maybe putting a master suite and freeing up some room and do what you guys want to do. It might be a more cost-effective, easier, less disruptive option for you guys. So,
Yeah,
something to explore.
if I want to stay married, we're probably still going to end up moving, but like I said, it depends on who you ask.
That's a whole different decision. You guys need to work on that one there too. But listen, what I want to do is I want you to just take down my phone number and I'd love to stay in contact with you. I love your house. I think you and I get along pretty well. And I'd like to kind of just show you, what's going on in the market when you're ready and what we do, interview for the job and show you what we're doing as a company. We're selling 20, 30 homes a day. We've been doing this for about 30 years in this market, about 55,000 sales. I can go on and on, but the point is I know what I'm doing and I know I could put a bunch of money in your pocket and do a great job when the time's right. But in the meantime, I want to be a resource. Talk to contractors if you guys want to, talk to lenders. I'll come over and just give you some of my feedback thoughts, whether we work together or not. I'm the most non-pressure person in the planet. And I just want you to know that you got somebody here that has your back, and I'd love the chance to interview and work with you in the future.
That's fair enough for me. I mean, I think we can definitely, communicate at some other time. I think really regrouping right now is good. I mean, we can have a conversation, my family and I, and then, go from there. If you want to try coming, just shy back some other time, and maybe we'll have a better answer, a different answer. And you never know, maybe my wife will find a better home a home that she really loves then, and we'll have to do something then. I don't know.
Well, from what I'm gathering, is I think the idea here is really there. You just nailed it on the head. We got to get your wife emotionally connected to another house, right? She's got to find really what you guys want. And maybe that's the way I can at least begin a relationship with you guys, to show how great I am from a negotiation and locating process. And maybe you and your wife and myself, we can jump on a Zoom call, and I can just kind of get to know the wants and needs and thoughts, and talk with your lender, and just really get the team together while you guys regroup your thoughts. I can start keeping an eye out. I'm really good at this one. Once I identify the neighborhood or the street you guys really want, I'm no stranger to door knocking and talking to people. I've got a lot of data in my fingertips. I can tell who's likely to sell next in certain neighborhoods, and try to find out. And you're not in a hurry, and we're not in a rush. So let's do it right. Let's make sure things align perfectly, and let's figure out where you guys are going to be happy in the next place. Because as soon as it's time to sell this house, I'm going to have it sold. That's the last worry in the planet. Most importantly is the kid's going to be happy, the wife's going to be happy, the new neighborhood going to work, stress is out of your world. So I'd like to start that way if it works for you guys. So
I think that sounds good. We can do, let's take that. Let's do that sometime.
okay, I'm going to shoot you my contact. I'm just going to text you, and then let me know. Sometimes we'll just communicate back and forth, and then we could just jump on when it's convenient for you guys. If Zoom's cool with you guys, it's great, because this way I can open up my MLS searches. I can start doing some Google Earth with you guys. I can understand the wants and needs and what's important to you, and drives and everything that's important. So you don't have to think about this anymore. So when the right house comes up, then we get this house sold to happen in the meantime. And I just love the shot to work with you guys.
Sounds fair. Sounds fair.
Okay. All right, cool. Well, I really appreciate your time, and talk with you soon. Reach out with any questions. I don't care if your AC goes out, or you just any question about your house. I got people. Okay.
Got it.
Talk to you soon. Bye.
Cool. Well, let's grab a couple of these chats real quick. So, because I know we're winding close on time. Yeah. So a couple of chats. I like the dialogue, but what if you cannot get the owner on the phone? Do you have letter scripts? So if you can't get the owner on the phone, because a lot of numbers are a little off, you just got to dive in to start asking questions. So one thing typically public record tries to pair people together. So if it sees a Gonzalez and a Gonzalez that were attached to the property, those numbers and names get there. So you have to be asking, no, they'll say, no, that's not me, or that's not my house, or whatever. You said, oh, I'm sorry. Do you know who owns that house? Are you associated with the property at that address? Oh, that's my mom's house, or that's my brother's house, or whatever. You just have to start asking those questions up to them, because they're just going to say no right out of the gates because it's not theirs. So you jump in asking a couple of those questions. Is that your mom? Would it be okay if I reached out to your mom? I noticed that she was trying to sell. Is there anything I could do to help? Start getting and earning their trust, and ask them for some communication with the party that owns the home. There's one point. Then,
that's awesome.
The next one was, if the wife doesn't pay attention or aggravated, forget it. One spouse enthusiastic, not the other. It's not going to happen. Well, that's part of the reason I did that, because if you notice what Jeff did at the end, he said, we need to get your wife and you on a call. We need to sit down with everybody and do that, because he knew I'm not the person making the decisions, the wife is. So I may not be enthusiastic about it, but she makes the decisions. And if he's going to get us all together to get that listing, that's where he needs to go. He needs to get to that point. And if he can get everybody together, he's got a better opportunity, because if she makes all the decisions, he's got it.
And did you notice how I backed off totally? Do you guys notice that? I totally neutraled back. I took foot off the throttle, hand off the throttle, and I did not push for a listing presentation. He just said, we need to regroup. We got to regroup. We got to regroup. You don't sell when someone's in regroup mode. You just help them regroup. So that's where that pivot came from, saying, pressure's off. I'm not going to push. If I pushed, I would have pissed them off, and I would have blown the relationship. So I had to go back, regroup with him, and help them regroup and just enter their world. Guys, I just want to see that you notice I didn't close for the appointment because it wasn't time, right? It was just looking to build that trust and see what I could do to bring some value to these guys.
You're
there.
gonna hit objection after objection after objection, and that's kind of, I wasn't throwing really hard ones at them because I wanted the dialogue to go so you can see the repeating and affirming, the questions, the just getting through that process. But you're gonna get those objections and you just align with whatever direction it's going. If the direction is going regroup, 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 not the right time, regroup, regroup, regroup. Great, let's help you regroup. Let's get everybody on a call and let's kind of get it together. Let's see where you're at. Let's take a look at your interest rate. Let's see what equity you have. Let's look around the neighborhood. Maybe you can add something else in there. Like that's where you align to, and that's part of the reason I was kind of trying to throw that out there so you can see the different directions. Not everybody's going to be the asshole and hang up on you. People are going to give you the time of day, and you
Yep.
have to know where to take that.
And guys, you really need 1 or 2 a month. That's it. Okay, so take the pressure off and go talk to them. There's hundreds of FSBOs, there's dozens of expireds, and you just need 1 or 2. So I hope this gave you some value, some content, some context, and just really takes the pressure off. And add this to your repertoire, guys. It really absolutely works. No commission breath, and just go help people. That's the whole name of this game, is connect, connect, connect. And Curtis, we're right on the money, 2 o'clock. So great
Boom,
spending
good
time with
luck.
you again.
Hey, brother.
All right, see you guys. Thanks for watching, guys.
Hey, how you guys doing today? We are going to start in about 1 minute, and we're going to look at Remine. And we're going to go through Remine as a tool for not only creating farms for yourself, but we're also going to look at Remine as an intelligence gathering system that can help you when you do farm to be smart about it. So the first thing we want to do here is, let me get to Remine. And so what you see here, this is the Remine homepage. Now, everyone's got, if you're part of GTAR, when you log into MLS, Matrix is here, Remine is right next to Matrix. So you can go in through this little app right here, and that's again logging into Stellar MLS. And so once we log in, a couple quick things, I'm going to give you a little tour on Remine. We can personalize it. We can invite clients to it, so that way it's kind of like MLS portal. They can take a look and get information from Remine as well. You can save a search. You can even start a chat with your client if they do have it. And then from here, you have property notifications. If you have any saved searches, they're going to be right here. And then listing updates. Listing updates are great for expireds, withdrawals, anything that may be an opportunity. As you scroll down, you'll see Twitter, anything that you've already engaged with that you may be holding on a pipeline. The market pulse, this is very similar to that of MLS. And then down here you have my listings. So my listings is where there's a lot of gold. And it's not just my listings as far as the listings, but it's also any buyer that I've ever worked with, anything that's ever expired, any cancellation, anything along those lines. And so as I cruise through here, what I started doing was I started taking my listings and I put them into a cart. Now, if you look on the left side over here, you have your daily, which is where we are now. You have a search. We're going to go to the search here shortly. You have saved searches, carts, engage, chat, contacts, and docs. For the purpose of today's training, we're going to focus on daily, search, and carts. Now, as I cruise through here, if you've been in the industry for more than a year or two, you've got some buyers that you've worked with, you probably have maybe even a listing or two. So what I've done is I go in here and I take a look at which one it is. And if it's a listing that I've sold, I put it in its own cart, its own group, its own bucket. And basically what that does for me is it tells me I've sold this home, and I'm going to create a farm of homes that I've already sold, and I'm going to create a marketing campaign that will go after that farm. And so for this particular one, Melissa Vega, I represented her as a buyer. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to add it to my cart, and it's going to be past buyers. So I've got quite a few carts already, but I'm clicking on past buyers, and then I'm going to add it to that cart, and then I move on. Now, I know that she's still there. And so if I want to create a CMA, which we're also going to go over with right now, I can create a CMA through here. I have her email address, so I can send her a CMA every quarter and give her an idea of what her home is worth. But more importantly, I'm keeping up with my past buyers, which is important. And if you look at the National Association of Realtor statistics, they say 85% of home buyers would use their realtor again, their buying agent, or they would refer someone to their buying agent. Yet only 15% actually use that agent again in the next transaction. So there's a 60% gap where there's a lack of follow-up. This gives you a tool to really be able to just follow up at a really easy pace. And so you can create a CMA right here. And when you do the CMA, it's a Remind CMA. It's a very simplified CMA. It's got the demographics, it's got the average as far as income level, average age per household, things of that nature. It also gives you an automated value module and AVM. And then you can pick and choose the comps that you want to use in there. I will say it's not as detail oriented as MLS. It's really there for a layman as far as the CMA goes, just to give them a range on value. I always approach it where if you're going to use this CMA, this gives you a range. To give you more of an appraised value, I'll need to walk the property and see the condition of it. And so with that, you'll see here, I did a CMA for them in January. So they're due a CMA from me. And so the CMA, here's a customized report here, and it shows what's closed, what's active. And I did everything because this is some townhomes. So I did everything within the townhomes. And then from there, if I want to hit save and continue, I don't want to spend too much time creating a CMA, but for the end result, Team Vega, it gives me a customized report. Now I've already went to color scheme for Century 21. I've uploaded my logo and I've uploaded my photo. And so this is what the CMA looks like. And this gives me 131 to 149 in range. So they've got a little more equity in their home than they thought. And when I send it over to them, I'll tell them also, you may want to get it if you can refinance your home and get a lower rate, you've got the value there to do so. So I'm giving them, I'm extending an olive branch of information to help them out. If I get a listing on it or I don't, I want to just let them know that I'm here, I'm helping them. So I remain top of mind and they remain an advocate of mine. And so now you'll see everything here as far as the CMA that's already been created. Now, creating a CMA doesn't take very long, but again, for the purpose of what we're doing here, I'm not going to create it, but I'm going to show you the product of it. And so once I want to print this out, give it a second. The finished product looks like this, and you can just download it in a PDF file. And you'll see here, I got it for Team Vega. It's got all my information here. Again, 48% of the area demographics are college students, 33% have children. You can see the average income, the average age. Redfin has established a value, or I'm sorry, yeah, Redfin's at 142. First American is at 150. So those are AVMs that they're using. And then they give us a range. Here's the average days on market. Here's the estimated average value. So right off the bat, anywhere around 143, you're going to be on the market for about average of 35 days, depending on the condition of your home. And then we'll see here, there's an average seller concessions of 3%, a lot of first-time home buyers that are looking for closing costs. And then from there, it actually shows them the comparables. As you can see, they're all within the same complex. There's plenty of samples there, plenty of comps for us to use. And when I do this, I do it with the intent of defending an appraisal. And so I'm going to move on from this moment here, and I'm going to go back to my carts. So now I've got a buyer cart, And then let's say I have also Fishhook, I represented both buyer and sell, but this was one that I sold. All right, so now we'll see here that Frederick and Susan Watson bought this from me 6.2 years ago. This is when I was still at Ruttenberg. And I sold it to Applebass. Believe it or not, she's not related. We may have the same grandfather, about 18 generations off, but that's about it. And then you'll see list price, you'll see everything here. Now, with this is now a listing that I've sold. And so I don't have the buyer's information, but sometimes I can still get it when I go to Associated People. And bam, look what I got here. Mr. Watson, I got his email address. I can now send him a CMA, let him remind him that I sold him the home. And I just wanted to touch base and extend the olive branch on what his investment is now worth. And I can take Frederick Watson, I can add him to my contacts, and I can also click on his name, and it'll tell me all the properties that are associated with Mr. Watson. But he's got a property up in Georgia still. This is where he moved from. I remember that. And as you can see, he's still here. He's got one. It looks like it's for sale now in Pennsylvania. There's another one in Pennsylvania. Now, again, these are properties that are associated with him. Some may be rentals, some may be an office, some may be homes that he owns, but it gives you a breadcrumb trail of what he's got. The biggest thing for me is I have his email. I can send him, I can make direct contact with him as a previous listing agent for his file. So that guy, Fishhook, goes into, I'm going to reopen that. It goes into the carts of listings that I've sold. All right, so I add a cart. And then I put in here, I have past listings sold. Boom. Add property. All right, now it's in there. So once you've done this with your older portfolio, I highly encourage you to keep up with all of your past sales. Don't be that 60% that doesn't keep up with them, because we're training new agents to intercept those deals. So don't get your deal intercepted because you didn't follow up, right? This is a great tool for you to not only organize the follow-up, it can almost be like your own little handy dandy CRM. So now I'm going to go to carts, and we're looking at multiple points of follow-up. So the first one, obviously, if they're past buyers, you should have their emails, you should have their contact information, and so you can send them CMAs. If it's past homes that you've sold, well, it's not as easy getting to those, right? So I'm going to go back here, past listings sold. And so I've got 48 right now in here. And the cool thing about this is it will actually keep up-to-date profile of all your stuff. So look at this one. This one was intercepted, but it was not my buyer to begin with, but it was intercepted because it's in my farm. And this one's active, this one's on hold. So now we're entering the area where a lot of these listings that I've sold are being sold again. This one's been closed for 7 days. Actually, this one's a rental still. So I'm going to keep them in my pipeline here. So now I can go to send mailers, and I've got a template that I created to go after all my past listings. And some of them, I sold a lot of bank-owned homes. So I know that most of these are bank-owned homes. But I've designed a template that can handle the bank-owned homes, and I designed a template that can handle just past listings sold. So for the campaign, I'm going to send them a letter. And I'm going to date past listings 7, 21, 20, because I'm going to do multiple campaigns in the future. So this always gives me an idea of when this campaign was done. All right, so I'm a big proponent of a ground game and an aerial game when it comes to marketing. And the ground game has always been kind of the same rule. It's an 8-second rule. So you're sending postcards. It takes about 8 seconds for the person who received the postcard to look at it both sides, and throw it away. It's generally an average of about 8 seconds. But for 43 pieces, it's going to cost me 28 bucks. That's not too shabby. And that's for the postcard design. I also have the ability to do a direct mail product. So I can do yellow letters. I can do the postcards. I can do snap aparts. I can do regular letters. So for the regular letters, I've done yellow letter campaigns. I've done regular letter campaigns. For the purpose of training on this, I'm going to do a regular letter campaign. And then when I get to here, this is going to be kind of an outline. I'm going to personalize it. And I choose my brand. So I go Century 21. I think that looks pretty fresh. I always choose mailing address. I want, if it's a rental, I want it to go to the end user. I want to go to the owner of the home. So if the owner doesn't live at the property that we're discussing, the subject property, I want it to go to where we can discuss it. So I want it to go to their house. If they're in Michigan, I want it to go to Michigan. If they're somewhere else in Tampa, that's where I want it to go. I want their attention. And then from there, we can do logos. So I've already uploaded my Century 21 logo. I've got my headshot in here. And then the next thing is company name. I always put the address of the office. I don't want them coming back to my house. I want them to understand I am a place of business at my office. And then I've got everything in here that I need. I proceed from here. It gives you a template. And so you can take this template, make it yours. I have my own template. So for the purpose of that, I'm going off screen for a moment. And I'm going to copy and paste a template in there. Give me 1 second. So for this one, came back. All right, so now, if this campaign was going after the bank-owned homes I sold, I was the listing agent who represented the bank in the sale of your home. During my time representing banks, I did hundreds of BPOs, so on and so forth. And so now I'm just, again, extending an olive branch. I can help you out. It's a free service. I've already doing it for my clients, but since I sold you your home, I'm more than happy to do it for you as well. From there, I go next. And move this. So now we have past listings, 43. And then once it takes me through here, I can also add addresses. So I've come across homes that I've targeted, and the owner may be either a police officer or fireman or something like that, and they're not showing up in the records for us to target them, but I know what their address is. I go ahead and I just put it right here. It will analyze and make sure that there's no incorrect addresses for me. It will remove any duplicate entries, anything along those lines. Any errors, of course. And then once it's done, I'll look at the proof. Once I approve the proof, I send it and it sends out for me. It doesn't mail it to my home and then I'm licking letters and stamps and all that stuff. It does it for me. I don't believe you guys can see from what I'm looking at. You can't see the proof. Looks good. And then I go from here, design as approved. It won't let you approve the design until afterwards. And then you go to add to cart. And then from here, you're putting in your payment information and you're rocking and rolling by sending out these letters. So I'll take a quick moment and I'll look at the chat. Yeah, we're going to get into commercial properties in a second. Yes, you can distinguish by property type. We'll get to that. And it's trained as you that I can pay to do this for me. Bob, you and I will talk. And so anyhow, from there, I have a couple different campaigns in here. So I'm not going to move forward with these at the moment. This is really just for the purpose of training. We're going to come back to our daily, and it all starts right here. This is all your past business. I recommend that you go to the bottom and and then work your way up. Now, we talked about carts. We've talked about your past business, your past buyers, your past listings. In my opinion, those are two farms that you should always have. You should never abandon. If there's a fortune in follow-up, this is just another tool to help you with that intelligence. Now I go to search. So let's say I want to target out-of-state homeowners. And I'm going to look at doing out-of-state homeowners in, hang on. I'll do out-of-state homeowners in Tarpon Springs. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to segment that off. So I went to this little menu over here. I chose square. I came here. I got 15,000 plus results. That sample size is very large. So I'm going to come back. I'm going to shorten that up just a little bit. I really want to focus now just on Tarpon Springs from the Gulf of Mexico to 19. That gives me a little over 10,000 results. And then the next thing I'm going to look at is over here on this little menu bar. It gives me more ways I can cipher through the intelligence that I'm trying to gather. So for right now, I'm looking for absentee out of state. They're in Michigan. They can't fly here. They got a property that is just sitting here, and maybe their renter isn't paying. Whatever the case may be, I got 1,064 results just in Tarpon Springs. Now, the cool thing about this, if you're familiar with like OpCity, or you're familiar with the lead programs that have the intelligence and the data that they've gathered on what would be a high sell score, someone who's probably going to sell their home in the next year, Remine has also done that. And so from here, I go to sell score. And then I can put high, apply that. And now I got 14 results for a high sell score. Now I can target them, and I'm not shotgun blasting all my money. I'm actually using my money towards a more targeted approach here. The one thing I will say though is if they're high sell scores, some of them might be on the market. So this one was just withdrawn, right? But you see here, these are all high sell scores. So now I can take that one step farther. So I come in here, I'll look at this one. This looks like a cash deal, Florida Avenue, apartment 222. We're gonna check this one out. So I am looking here at this guy. He's out of state, I know that. It's Ajaz Ahmad. 30 plus years he's owned this. It's 2-bedroom, 490 square feet. Corporate ownership is no, but look, absentee owner is yes. And now I have his mailing address. I've got public records. I have his tax assessment. I can go in here, I can look at the valuation just to see what the data is that's crunched. The estimated value is almost 300. And when I recrunch it, it's got some ranges here. I can look at the schools. Now the schools, I will say, measure twice but cut once, because there's also some pretty good private schools over there that it might pick up. And then demographics, I have it right here. So average age 47, average income, so on and so forth. I can look at my property history here. And there's not much there. If there's a mortgage on it, it would show up right here. This guy's owned it for 30 plus years. So he bought this before everything went digital. He's off the grid. And unfortunately, I don't have any of his information here. But what I can do is I can put him in my cart, Tarpon Springs absentee owners, and I can go after him. And then I can send him a letter. I can do other things that just, again, go to capture his attention, try to engage him to see if he'll sell his property. I'm going to go one down. I got another one, 30 plus years. He lives in Astoria, New York. They can't leave New York right now. We're going to go down to the bottom, associated people. Let's see if we can get anything here. Boom, I got an email right here. So Michael Long, that's my guy. Now I can shoot him an email. I want to send him a CMA. Here's what your home is worth. This is all part of hunting, right? And so now I come back here and I've targeted 14 just in Tarpon Springs. Now that's just a high sell score. If I don't have enough of a sample size, I can go medium and high, and that gives me 99. But now I can start hammering these 99 out-of-state landlords, out-of-state homeowners during this COVID crisis and just hit them over and over and over. I will be, if they have a property manager, I'm going to be competing against the property manager. It's just what it is. But if you run the numbers game, I go back to National Association of Realtors, they say of every 100 people you know, 15 of them are going to buy or sell on average. But what if you knew of 100 that were already homeowners and they were uncomfortable owning a home in another state where we are in the current settings? Now you can start really taking a look at what's going on with these guys, right? So I created my own cart for North Tampa, New Tampa, surely absentee. Please don't steal my farm. And so when I go to this cart, it stays active. So here's something that I got 54 properties here. So remember what I told you about out of 100, what's going to happen? So of these 54 properties, this one's active 13 days, that one's active 250, that one closed, that one's closed, that one's canceled, that one's closed, that one's closed. I started this little farm about 3 months ago. And as you can see, there's obviously there's quite a bit of activity just with that farm. So it goes to show me that having the idea of an absentee owner at this time in this market, they're a good target for me to go after. I'm gonna pause real quick for chats. Hang on. As far as DNC, I stay away from the DNC, but I would polish, if you want to go after those phone numbers and you have a cash buyer, you got something a little bit different. If you're prospecting, you're kind of towing a gray area there. And as long as it's one-on-one and not using an auto dialer. So thank you for answering that for me. And then this is a belabored way of showing us all the things Remine can do. Is there a shorter recap? Yeah, we'll get to that. And then, because we're doing 101, so I got to go through the 101. Peter, I think you're in a kind of advanced version of it. We have certainly done some alternate trainings on Remine. Yeah, so right here, YouTube, there's a list of stuff that's already there. All right, now I'm going to go back to this. And the next thing we're going to do is we're looking again at searches. We just did absentee owners. Now you can also look at different ways of segmenting what you're looking for. So if you're looking for homeowners with home equity and you just want to start farming everything that's 500,000 and up, you have the ability to do it right here. So if you want to only go big fish hunting, you can do big fish hunting right here in Palm Harbor. And as you can see, there's 629 there. And then I can go to sell score, high. And there's 20 of them that are all big fish. And we can start targeting them and go after them either with letters or coming back in here again by choosing associated people. And so this one, they live there. If you're a door knocker, this is a good one to just get in front of. And then when I go to associated people, we've got some stuff here. I got Margaret Wallace, and Chamara. So here's Chamara. Here's something there for them. Same phone number. Same phone number. All right, so I got a phone number for them. So now I've got something there. The next thing is, let's talk about a farm. So part of a geographical farm is you generally choose, when you start out, you choose a neighborhood with about 100 homes in that neighborhood. And then you just hammer them with postcards, you hammer them with your direct mail campaign, so on and so forth. Now, I say get more intelligence on that farm. And so let's say we want to go after a farm in Land O'Lakes, and we're going after plantation palms. It's moving slow. All right, here we go. So I'm going to go after this little nook of plantation palms right here. 157 homes. And so now I'm gathering intelligence on who's who, because generally if I'm farming a geographical location, I include door knocking. I include just getting through there and figuring out who's who. So now you can gather intelligence on, if you're going to door knock, who do you door knock on? There's 112 results. Let's take it one more step farther and go to the high sell score. I got 2 on opposing corners. And this one has a great deal of equity. This one has a great deal of equity. So when I go door knocking this day, I'm going to go with the CMA in hand. And I'm going to, of course, I'm going to introduce myself. And this gives me also an idea of if I can just get a hold of them without knocking on the door, boom, I got a phone number here. And then I go one step farther. I can, like I said, create a CMA. I can take a look at what their mortgage is. So this tells me that they don't really have a mortgage, not much of one if they do. It's taken out in 05. So they are pretty much free and clear. They've been there 15 plus years. This is a good target for me to door knock. And then I go one step farther with sell score. I go medium, I apply. Now I got 7 to door knock on. And then I want to find out who should I stay away from, because they're renters. So I go absentee, in-state, out-of-state. I got 1 result. So that's the one that's getting the letter. And this is, remind you, I kept the high sell score and the medium sell score on there. So once I take those off, it'll give me the rest of the sample size. And they've been there for less than a year, so that's not a good one. Let me take the sell score off of here. Now this farm looks a little bit different. So now I don't just have general postcards going to this farm for everything that I've listed and everything that I've sold. I know that there's certain homes that people actually live in the home, and I'm going to have a different marketing campaign for them. And then now the ones that are absentee, there's no point in knocking on those doors, but I'm going to shoot them letters and I'll look for ways to contact them. If I can get their email, that's really a great way to reach out to them. But they're going to get all my postcards and all my letters regardless. I'm going to design it around absentee. I'm going to design it around those who are renting and those who are landlords. And then lastly, I will pull out the corporate owns, because generally corporate owned, they're going to have their own system, their own real estate company and so forth. There's 26 in here that are corporate owned. Those are all rentals as well. So I want to stay away from them.
Now,
So
one suggestion real quick, Otis, that I would have is when you narrow down your farm, and I put a link to a specific video in the chat that we kind of talked through this on, but for those of you that are going to farm this way or do direct mail, especially to non-absentee owners, people who are actually in the farm, my suggestion is, creating generic postcards are great and those can work, but if you narrow down by sell score and I can get it down to 10 to 15 that I know are more likely based on the algorithm to do something, it is in your best interest to use Canva. So for those of you that were on our training earlier, where we walked you through how to create custom graphic design pieces through Canva, go into Canva, create a design, right? A template that you like. Then all you have to do is copy that. But now I would create 10 to 15, if that's what I had, specific to that home. So I'd put that owner's name on there. I'd put their information. I'd take a look at the CMA, but maybe put value on there or a range on there. I would make it very specific so that if I was sending it to Otis gets a piece of direct mail from me. I don't care if you have to go drop it off on their doorstep or in their mail or in the flag of the mailbox. But when Otis gets that piece of mail from me, I don't want it to be generic. I want it to say, Otis, do you know that you have, according to our records, you have $160,000 in equity? If you've even remotely thought about cashing in on that, I'd love to chat with you. I want it to be specific to Otis. So when Otis picks that up, it's 100% contextual. Remine allows you to do that. Now, obviously, that's not really feasible for your entire farm if there's, 100, 200 people in there or more, right? But it is very feasible if there's 5 to 10 that are very likely to do something. So make sure we're being strategic when you're building out this marketing plan, that you're not just doing what everyone else is doing, which is being generic and not being contextual to your audience, because that really matters.
I agree. And so,
Just wanted
yeah,
to-
in piggybacking on what Mike just said, when you have the intelligence of which ones are renters, you can design that marketing piece just for them. Just like, when you door knock, you're only going to door knock on the ones that you know are going to be owner occupied. So now we've gone, let's see, it's 2:35. So now we're going to just cover a real quick piece. We were asked about commercial. So commercial is a little bit extra, and you can flip it over, and now you can start looking at farming commercial. I will say it's not CoStar. We're all used to expectations of standards with CoStar. It gives you some stuff here with commercial, it gives you some intelligence, but overall, it's kind of the broad strokes. So if I go out, and I have a commercial piece of property that we'll take a look at in South Tampa. Yeah, I'm just gonna put it in here. I come here, I hit that. All right, so here's a commercial piece of property that we'll look at. It's currently listed. It gives me a good idea. Some of you have to always double check certain things with public records. From there, what I'm looking at now is, okay, how do I find value, and is there similar comps and so forth? So I just hit CMA, and I see what it gives me. Generally, it's going to just give you something that's within 1/4 mile. And then for status, we're going to look at closed and active. Building type is a multifamily. And then we're just going to hit search and see what happens here. One thing I forgot to do is that. I want to make sure I gather as much as I can for information. Save and continue. So right now I'm only getting one comp from MLS. And one thing you can also do with your criteria is you can look at off market. Closed off MLS. And then we're going to apply. Still just one. It's giving me a price of $660. The one thing I will say with commercial is it is not like it works with residential. What you can do with, I'm going to close out of this real quick because you get an idea of what I'm trying to do with the CMA. What you do want to do though is you want to take a look at the lot size. It will give you the intelligence that you need as far as the parcel, the acres. It will not just give you comps. So when I go into CoStar, CoStar will give me comps. When I go to Reonomy, Reonomy will give me comps. This one doesn't always give me comps. What it does do is it gives me just the intelligence that I need to gather more information and get more of an established value by having the the facts of the property. And it also gives me this. Here's the landlord, the owner. He's got a high buy score. That means now the algorithms of a buy score is slightly different than the sell score. That means he's currently on Zillow, Realtor.com. He's on these search engines for homes. So he gets a higher buy score because of that. When I click on him, he's also a landlord in South Tampa. So it's showing me now that he's got this one active, this one active. All of his properties, it looks like he's unloading them. And they're all right around the same market. And almost on the same block. And so it tells me now, I know that this guy, he's an active landlord and seller. Now, when I go back into commercial, what you can do here is with your filter, click on commercial. I want to make sure all my pins are there. And then I come back over here and I can look at building type. So if I want to just look at commercial multifamilies, and then I can look in a particular area. So now I got 56 multifamilies. I can look at ownership time. So let's say I want to deal with everyone that's 5+ years. I know they've got equity. Now I got 34 results. And then I can also look at sell scores. It's got one right here. And it's off market. Looks like it's free and clear. So now I've got, again, just a little bit of extra data, a little bit of extra intelligence that helps me with finding out what's going on in the neighborhood so I can market with more like a surgeon versus just a shotgun blast. I can also take a look at what of these multifamilies might be distressed sales. So I can go in there and hunt that by itself. Nothing in here. So I'm going to stop for a moment and allow the chat so that way we can answer any questions. Mike, do you have anything to add at the moment?
No, I just want to point out, guys, that at the end of the day, I mean, obviously, Otis has gone through many different ways that you can use Remind. This is a tool, right? So once you come up with your lane, that's where you want to focus this, right? That's where you want to focus your efforts within the tool. Yes, you can do 17 million different things through here. You can find absentee owners, you can find for sale by owners, you can do research on other people. You know, if it were me and I'm going on a listing presentation, there's no way that I'm not coming in here to learn as much about the property and the owner as possible. I'm going to find their name, then I'm going to go to LinkedIn, I'm going to look them up to find out what they did, what they currently do for a living, what they've done in the past, because that, to what Chris and Jeff were talking about earlier today, that will give me a great indication before I even walk in the door. If I see that they're an accountant on LinkedIn, I want to know that, right? Because what type of personality is an accountant going to be? Well, I need to make sure when I come in there, I'm buttoned up. I know my numbers. I'm very calculative. Everything about it's going to be analytical. But who's the wife, right? And I'm going to look that up. And I want to know that information. So if I was working that, if I had a listing presentation or even a buyer presentation, I'm certainly going to use this Remind to be my research tool. If I'm doing for sale by owners, I'm going to search for sale by owners in here as well. I may find their address in Zillow, and then I'm going to come in here and do it. If I'm going to work absentee owners, Otis made that very clear in here how you can use that. So the point being, this tool is certainly diverse, but we are in no way saying use it for all of these things, right? Pick your lane. Whoever your coach is, whoever your manager is, whoever's helping guide you, make sure you're working with them to say, hey, I have this tool available to me, but how am I best going to use it in my business? And for maybe that means you don't use it at all. I find that hard to believe because you should use this. There's too many ways to use it, but I just don't want you to get overwhelmed because like social, there's so many ways it can go. So now it's just a matter of how am I going to leverage it? And then always keeping in mind that at the end of the day, the more research you have, that allows you to be more contextual when you do reach out, whether it's via knocking on the door, whether it's via direct mail, whether you're finding them and reaching out to them on social, no matter what you're doing, right? So you've got to pick a lane and then associate this and say, okay, once I've picked that lane, how am I associating Remind to help me execute within that path? That's it, right? So that would be my only guidance, because otherwise you're going to go down a deep rabbit hole here and struggle.
Thank you. So one last thing before class is over. We've discussed in other classes expireds and so forth. You can use this as an intelligence gatherer for some expireds, as you can see over here. It's got all the expireds. Now, what I've heard from top producers who have roundtabled and been on panels, when they make a living off of expireds, they generally start with the ones that are 60 days old and older because there's less competition. And then they go after getting the information. So this is an expired that I just pulled up. And sometimes you can just go through here and you get lucky. Now this one I believe is corporate owned from the way it looks. But now I've got some phone numbers here. Let me go to a different expired. So here's one in St. Petersburg. And so I know a lot of people use Red X and Vulcan 7 for their expireds. If you don't have that money to, if you don't have the money to do so, what did I pick the same one? Then this is another way of just getting that information. So here we'll go to this one. Another corporate owned. So as I go here, boom. So you can go to sunbiz.org on that one. But again, what this is doing is we're using this just to get intelligence. Because sometimes with these expires, when you comb through enough of them, you got their email address and their phone number. It's not just their phone number. And again, you're not having to subscribe to Red X or anything like that. You want more associated people, and then I'll open it up for the chat lines. Here we go, boom. He's got a low buy score and no information on him. So want to open it up for picking lane is a great idea. Does anyone have any other questions on Remind? We're slightly ahead of the curve on this, so we can open it up for questions and answers. Nice. All right. Mike, what do you have to add?
That's it. I think we are, oh, Veronica said, what are good advice
On engaging?
Oh, I think on engaging, yep.
Okay. So as long as you're engaging them, I mean, I'm looking at, if you send a letter, you find them on social media, your door knock, whatever the case may be, have a really good idea of what the value of that home is so you can speak with certainty. One of the things that I found right now is there's not a lot of inventory on the market. So a lot of sellers are talking about listing their home above market value, and it might be a pie in the sky. So that's when I have the conversation about defending the appraisal. And this gives you the ability to enter in and talk about the value of their home. Are you going to send a link to this presentation? I believe it's going to be stored, right, Mike? The link to this presentation?
Yes, all recordings will be done. Jonathan is working on it. I know he's already got part of yesterday posted on YouTube, but understand that it may take us a few days. We've got, at this point, almost 2 full days worth of content. We're going to have 3 full days by tomorrow. So it will take us a few days to download, render, and then repost. But yes, we will have it all made available through our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/BE3 Real Estate Channel. So if you go there, you will be able to see all of it, and I will email out the link to the email that you used to register once all of those are ready.
Very good. And Veronica, also, whenever you engage, have good questions. Be armed with good questions. So that way you can dance the dance. So if there's no other questions, we're good to go. Thank you guys very much.
Yep. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Next up, our last session of the day is how to build your farm, which Deb Haley and Thomas Simmons are going to dive into. So stick around if you want to attend that. Otherwise, have a great rest of your week.
Have a great day. Take care.
Thanks, guys.
There you are. How are you, Thomas?
Good, Deb. How are you?
Good. You ready to rock and roll today?
Yes, I'm ready to rock and roll.
Okay, give me 1 second. I need to minimize that for a minute. Open that up. There we go. There we are. So move this over a little bit. There we go. Okay. Well, we got 3 more minutes. So I think
Yeah, we got a few more minutes here.
we do. We do. Otis was awesome a few minutes ago. He was working on the Remind stuff, which
Oh
will tie
yeah,
in, yeah, it'll tie into what we're going to talk about today.
he got that pretty down packed.
Yeah.
We have 2 minutes.
I think that we've got quite a few people online already.
30 seconds. Be right back.
30 seconds. Okay. Minimize that for a second and open that up. There we go. There we go. Are you muted, Thomas?
I am mute. Give me 10.
Oh, there. You're good. You're good. Yeah. So okay, we can get started. I'm Deborah Haley. I manage the Sun City Center office with Century 21 Bagans, and I've been around for 38 years. I've been around Craig Bagans and Century 21 Bagans since 2002, and I've been managing since 2006 with Craig. So what you're going to see today is all about geographic farming and farming in other avenues. Thomas is going to be helping me and actually part of this. And so Thomas, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. My name is Thomas Simmons. I've been with Century 21 Bagans for 6 years. I'm a manager and partner with Century 21 Bagans, and I manage the Brandon office. I've been in real estate total years, I believe, collectively is 16 years. And I'm just really excited to be here and share some knowledge with you.
So we have lots to share with you today, some really exciting stuff. And so we're going to talk a lot on geographic farming, but there is other definitions of farming that we can touch on pretty quickly. Because what is your farm? It could be a geographic area that we're going to touch on today, but it could be your sphere. If you don't want to go out and door knock or own a geographic farm, there's other avenues you can do. So Thomas, you want to go ahead on with this slide and talk about their other opportunities?
Yes, or you want to share your slide?
That's not shared?
No, it's not shared.
Uh-oh. Okay, then. Let me get back here. Let's go to here. It's not letting me. Let me get out of this, get back into it.
Okay, no worries. Let me go ahead and
Yeah.
pull mine up here.
Okay, let's do this. Open up screen. Share screen.
You found it?
Yes. Here we
Okay.
go. Want to do that, and then I can get into this. Sorry, I thought I had this all set up.
No worries.
Can you see it now?
Yes.
Oh, good. Okay. Okay. Sorry, you guys. You're supposed to do this through osmosis, Thomas. Okay, so that's the screen I was on. And we were talking about, do you want to go ahead and go through this? Because it talks about the other
Sure. What happens
opportunities.
is that we actually see your email versus the actual PowerPoint.
Okay, so I can maximize that.
Yeah.
Better?
No, we're seeing your email with Samantha wants to collaborate.
Oh, I'm seeing something totally different.
Do you have multiple screens?
Okay. Let's do this.
Deb, do you have multiple screens?
Oh, okay, so I'm get rid of, sorry. Are you able to see this? Oops.
No, there's nothing there. If you like, I can pull it up.
Okay.
All right.
I don't know why, because I was able to. Can you do screen share?
Yeah, absolutely. Let me just
Okay.
go ahead and pull it up here.
So while he's doing that, what we're talking about today is some different avenues that you can farm, the geographic farming that we really talk about a lot in here is because it's effective, it works, it always works. It's a great avenue and a great tool in your tool belt that you can absolutely use. There we go. I can see it.
Yep.
Okay. It's a great tool in your tool belt to really use. You're going to be able to maximize that. There we go.
Yep. There we go.
There we go. Awesome. Okay. Okay. So yeah.
There you go.
There we go. Okay. So go ahead and define what our farm is, Thomas. What your farm can be.
Sure. Basically, farm. So the whole purpose of farming is to find a community or a residential area that you become the local expert. Okay. This is the whole purpose of that. You want to know what the HOA is. You don't want to know what CDD is. You want to know what just listed, what just sold, what expired, that's for sale by owners in that area. And today we're just going to talk about different ways to obtain that information. We have a lot of resources that we can give you to help you kind of just really just tighten it up on the number of homes, the turn rate, the average sales price, so you can find out what your commission is. So really tune in, grab a piece of paper or a notebook and take some notes, because this is going to be really valuable information for you guys.
Absolutely. So we're going to talk about social media a lot today and how to farm in social media, how to geo-target areas, how to combine, and you should be combining a couple different things with your farm. If you're going to become a neighborhood expert, it's a good opportunity to combine social media with that now, because we have that capability to do that. So if you can go to the next slide. There we go. What is your geographic farm area? It is a neighborhood. It is something that you really are going to have to like and identify with, so you'll keep going back to it. It's something, I tell my agents, you need to marry it. You need to find a reason to be out there on a weekly basis and become an expert and know everything about it. You do need to know the homeowners associations. You need to know the ins and outs, how often it moves, and we're going to get into that. How many homes do you need to focus on? 200 to 300 is a good number. Many of y'all will come to me and say, but I want to do 600 to 800, 900. That's awesome. But if you're going to door knock and get your face out there, it may be easier to do 200 or 300. If you're going to do every door direct, which we're going to talk about, then you can do 600 to 800 homes with mailers, which is very, very effective too. Are you going to door knock? Are you going to mail? Are you going to geo-target areas? You need to do all the above. I am a big proponent of door knocking for one purpose. Craig and Peter got me started in door knocking and farming in 2002. I hated it just like you guys did because I thought, oh, what's the purpose? I'll never get anything. It's hot, I'm tired, I'm cranky. But on my 3rd month of religiously getting out there and door knocking, on the 4th month, I got 4 listings. The light bulb came on. I wouldn't have had any of those listings had I not gone out and met people. And I know some people think this is old school. It's not. You got to go where the houses are, because that's our shoe store. You know, if you're going to compare it to a shoe store, where the shoes at, and the shoe store, where your home's at. It's in a geographic area. So you want to find something that is going to be really great. Right now with COVID-19, it's kind of scary to door knock, and I understand that. So we have other avenues that you can still get your information out there and become that neighborhood expert. So Thomas and I are going to go through that too. Are you going to do gated or not gated? You can do either. You can't door knock and gated. Obviously, they'll throw us out. But you can actually mail in there and be effective with your mailers if you know what you're mailing. And we have some selections for you. Do you want a newer neighborhood or an older neighborhood? It really depends on the ratios for turnover rates, which we'll also go over with you. So we're going to look at all this in the next few slides to really help you. And there we go. Are you in competition with the new home builders or other established agents in the area? You need to know that. There may be agents that really been in that area for years that dominate. Do you want to be up against them? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe you know they're maybe getting out of the business soon, maybe not. But there's plenty of areas to pick from that you can really choose a different area that doesn't have as much competition. So we have a tremendous amount of beautiful, wonderful neighborhoods, you know, in Tampa Bay.
I would like to add to that too.
Yeah, go ahead.
That, you know, with the home builders. And the reason why we bring up this bullet point is because not with the competition, it really comes with, you know, listing a home, right? You're gonna have to know the competition in order to price that home accordingly. Because if builders are still continuing to build in that community, that may not be the community that you want to be in. Because there's going to be a lot of incentives with the home builders as far as commission, closing costs. So if you have someone that has a current home that they want to list, they only been there for a year or two, that's going to be a much harder sale because of the new homes that's being built that comes with the warranties and things like that. So just be cognizant of that when you're looking for a farm. Very, very important.
Yep. They also pay the agents a lot more money on commission sometimes. So if you're dealing with the seller, you know, you have to have that conversation. Are they going to want to pay 8-9% commissions? I don't know. Probably not, though. It's much harder on the new homes. Thank you for bringing that up, Thomas. Demographic profile. This is important. What market, what target are you getting? Are you really focusing on? Are you looking at a move up, a first time home buyer neighborhood? So you're going to have millennials and your Gen XYZs that are just up and coming on their jobs and making more money. Are you wanting to get in something that is maybe a retirement home where they're on the water, like in Apollo Beach and Mirror Bay and stuff? And so they got the kids out of the house now. It's just them and they're getting their dream home. You know, what area are you really going to focus on, and what's your demographic profile for those areas? Here in Sun City, we deal with seniors. So we have a great senior profile here, and we have other needs for those people because these are expendable homes here. They're here to move to Florida, to get away from the kids from up north and to scale down. But once they get here, they scale back up. So you've got to know your demographics when you're going into an area so you can really relate to them. Your geographic profile, this is a big deal. Do you want waterfront? Do you want the best schools like Fishhawk? Do you want to be around employers so you'll know you'll have a good assortment of people moving into the area that employers are moving in, like USAA up in North Tampa and stuff? What is that geographic profile? Do you want to focus on horse farms for equestrian, or do you want to do farmland? What is your specialty and your niche? This is a good time to figure out what your niche is going to be. You know, if you have, you know, if you're a horseback rider yourself, maybe you do want to focus on equestrian communities because we have them around here. So you got to think about what your specialty is that you want. And I know, Thomas, you and I live on waterfront. So our specialty would be the waterfront because we're boaters and we know the water, right? And it would be a slam dunk for us to farm our areas. So you got to think about that. What is the financial profile? You want cash? Are they paying cash predominantly in that area? Or is there a lot of FHA and VA loans or USDA loans? Got to think about that too. So where do you really want to focus on your farm?
And that would also come down to price point too.
Absolutely.
You know, FHA and VA loan. Well, now VA doesn't really have a cap anymore, right? So,
better.
but right, exactly. But FHA, you know, it's 300 plus, and then they have that limit. So that's also going to allow you to let you know if that's going to be an area that, you know, going to let you know what type of buyers are going to be in that particular neighborhood.
Absolutely. And your sellers. And if you think about it, if you're setting up your business plan, we talked about that yesterday some, you really want to focus on price point, what Thomas just brought up. Do you want a farm area that brings you $200,000 and $300,000 homes, or do you want an area that's going to bring you $400,000 to $600,000, $700,000 homes? This is a way that you can control your income coming in. So if you focus on the higher end and the better homes, you're going to have listings in those price range, and you're also going to have buyers coming for those price range. So that's something to really consider when you're picking out a farm area. And that's what I go through with all my agents.
And where can you go, Deb, and establish your own income, your own salary per year, right? You gotta love it, right?
That's it. I mean, this is wide open for you guys. You know, you want $1 million homes? Oh my gosh, you know, go to the beaches. Mirror Bay is starting to get $1 million homes. And believe it or not, Tampa Bay is starting to get $1 million homes, a lot of $1 million home neighborhoods. And you're not limited, and you don't have to cut your teeth on the new cheap stuff. You can go to the very established higher end homes, and you should. No reason not to, right? Okay. Yeah, go to the next. Do you want to define your farm by location? Yeah, you do. You want to make it convenient for yourself. Do you want to drive 30 minutes to get to your farm, or do you want to walk out the door and farm your neighborhood? There's some huge benefits to farming where you live. You know, if you live in a nice neighborhood, number one, you love it there. You know your neighbors. That's a great thing. You're going to know a lot of stuff about the neighborhood already if you're going to farm where you live. Now, how do you do the research, Thomas?
You can go to IMAP Tax. I mean, you're very familiar with that, but they also have a website now, it's rsppro.com, where it pulls data from the MLS, and it actually shows you literally how many homes are going to be in a community or subdivision. It tells you what the turnover rate is going to be, and then it also tells you what the average sales price of the home is. So again, going back to what we said earlier, knowing the average sales price, you can determine what your income is going to be. Also, knowing what the turnover rate is going to be, that is also going to let you know who's moving and who's not moving, and it gives you that percentage, right? So they say the average percentage is at least like 4 to 6%. So there's some where you can see 7 to 8%, and you can see them within a year, or you can also see them within the 5 years of how many people are moving in and out of that community, which is very huge when it comes to, you know, working a farm, because we don't want to work a farm that has, you know, little to none turnover rate, right? Because those people love it. They're not leaving. They're lifers, right? So we want to get in a community that they're actually looking to move. Very important.
Absolutely. And there are communities out there that people will move around inside the community because it's a lifestyle community like Mirror Bay and Fishhawk. And they'll move around absolutely inside that community 2 or 3 times, depending on number of kids and job transfers and stuff. We just had a question about where's the site Thomas was talking about. It's the rSPPRO.com that we have on the screen there for you, RISPRO.
Yep, I just sent it
Oh,
to
good. Thank
the
you.
chat
Okay.
mail. Yep, exactly. You're
Okay.
welcome.
Yeah, IMAP tax is wonderful too because you can get a housetop count. That's what we used before RISPRO came out. And it's also a great resource in your MLS to use. It's also free. So just so many great resources now to do quick research and to set up your business.
And you can also, which we haven't listed here, is Remind too. You can also go
Oh, yeah.
into Remind. You can also set up, you know, your farm there as well. Okay.
Yep.
So just another resource, guys, because, you know, back in the days, it was just like, okay,
Oh.
how
We
many
had to
homes is this
drive.
person-
We had to
Right, you had
drive around.
Right. And you know
Yeah.
what, Deb, quite honestly, that's not a bad idea either, right?
Yeah.
You know, if you locate a community that you don't know, right?
Yeah.
Why don't you just drive through there, see what type of home,
Absolutely.
see what the condition of the home, see if there's landscaping in there, you know? If there's not an HOA, you know, let's look at the colors of the homes. Let's look at, see how many cars are on the grass. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Parked on the grass. There's a lot of things that you need to take in consideration when it comes to a farm.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, you need to do the research. It does begin with the research because just to jump out there and pick something kind of randomly, you know, you're going to end up jumping around then. And the purpose of farming is to really find something and then stick to it and marry it and be committed to it for a long term because that will feed you a tremendous amount of business. So we can go to the next slide. Tell you a little story that just happened to me yesterday. I farmed at Apollo Beach for 5 years, from 2002 to 2006. And I door knocked for 5 years. I did everything. It was great. I made a lot of money in my farm. I got fed a lot from my farm. I got a call last night from somebody in my farm, and I haven't farmed since 2006. But they remembered me and said, Deborah, can you help us? My daughter wants to move down the street. And it's like, sure. And, you know, I haven't even been farming since really 14 years. And that's how this farm will feed you though, because when they're ready to move, they're going to contact you because they know you because you've been in front of them. Material. This is a biggie. What are you going to use to get out there? We've got a couple different things. I did 2 different things when I was farming. I would really recommend this. I door knocked with a newsletter, but I also sent out a postcard every month offering something like a free market analysis or CMA or something. So they always had 2 pieces coming from me every month. Something you should consider. If we can't door knock right now, that's great. Get a good, wonderful piece of literature out there though. And we have them. Business Builder is amazing. You can create flyers and newsletters in Business Builder. If you're with Century 21, they give this to us. It is has a library of 700 things in it that you can create flyers and newsletters from. So that is, and do drip campaigns with the newsletters and everything else. So that is a great thing for us. We have Wizard newsletters that we publish for the agents every month. It costs a little bit of money. That is a 4-page wonderful newsletter with a letter from the broker on the inside. So it's a great art piece that will keep shelf life on the countertops with your clients. It just won't go in the trash. But Every Door Direct, if you want to do a mass mailing for the cheapest and the biggest bang for your buck, is eddm.usps.com. The link is here on the page. It's the Every Door Direct. This does, now you have to mail a whole rule route, and you mail a 8.5 by 11 piece, front and back. You don't have to fold it. You don't have to label it, and you don't have to stamp it. That's the easy part about it. You have to make up the newsletter and what you're going to send out, but you send it out, you get it printed up on cardstock. If you're with us, you can use our printers. If you're not with us, I'm sorry, you got to go to the printer. But you have to have 80 to 100 pound cardstock, and then you take it to the post office. To send about a rule route of 600 to 700 homes, it's going to cost you about $120. It's cheap. That's postage included. So, and
Okay.
whereas if you're sending out, I think 300 wizards, which are still nice, you're going to spend that much money on 300 homes. So if you want to, hit a broader area, Every Door Direct is a phenomenal thing. And so go in there into that site, learn how to do it. It'll explain everything to you and what you have to take to the post office.
So you're probably saying like, okay, newsletters. Deb explained about the newsletters with the wizard, the 4-page, with the broker, with a great message, and then it says flyers and handouts. You're probably saying like, well, okay, what type of flyer, what type of handout? What kind of information do I put on the flyers, right? So you can put the just listed, right? Just sold, right? The marketing trends that's going on in the area. Maybe you may have some open houses or something that might be going on in that area. And you may have them, where that they're going to be, a week from now or 2 weeks now, because that's your farm. You're going to be the one that's going to set it up. So you can put like invitations out to let everyone know what's going on, right? Maybe there might be something that might be going on in the community with the HOA, maybe the roads or something like that nature, right? Those are information that you could share with that farm, okay?
Yeah, absolutely. You can be the real neighborhood expert and be their go-to source to put in their garage sales, to put in the HOA minutes and when the meetings are. You can own the neighborhood very quickly. And I think we're going to get into it just a minute too about social media, which Thomas is going to go over. We've got a couple slides ahead to go over how to do that with a farm with social media too, which is really exciting. So Thomas, if you go to the next one.
Yep.
Okay. This is all about goal setting too, because to set up a farm and just say, I'm going to go out and door knock or I'm going to go mail, you need a reason. We keep talking about your why, which you've heard that for the last day and a half now, almost 2 days. You got to have a reason and you have to have defined goals. And how many listings do you want to take a month out of that farm? What's your goal on that? What's your goal, buyer goals on that? How many buyers do you want to pull from that farm? It's just not about the listings. Referrals. The biggest thing I found out about farming is, because I was in a very established neighborhood, so I didn't think people would want to move that often, but I was getting a ton of referrals like, my brother's moving in, can you help him up in Brandon? It's like, sure. You don't understand the amount of referrals you're going to pick up as you start farming and talking to more and more people. You've got to define some real things, and you've got to think about your scripts. And you've got what you're going to use every month. What are you going to talk about every month? What's the message you're going to get out in your newsletter every month? When you go to making contacts in your farm, and I will go over this briefly because when I set up farming here in the office for the agents back in beginning of 2007, I had 22 agents commit to door knocking back then, and it worked because we got about 40% market share in a year. But we always had to have something new to come out with in that farm every month. And so it was a combined effort of thinking about what are we going to offer? What are we going to talk about? What new thing can we do? And so you've got to think ahead and plan that. You got to think about how many contacts a day. If you're door knocking and you're able to go out and visit people, or if you're making calls in that farm, you got to think about how you're gonna, how many contacts in that farm a day do you need to make? This is a tool in your tool belt. So it doesn't mean you need to go out and make 15, 20 contacts a day. What if you need 5 contacts a day in your farm, and then you're doing 5 FSBOs and 5 expireds? That'll give you 15 contacts a day. Simple, but you've got to think about the number of contacts. You got to set aside your time frame to work in your farm. We talked about this yesterday when we were talking about scheduling. You need a schedule, a defined time to focus on your farm, whether you're going to do mailers, whether you're going to pick up the phone and call people that you have met, that who have reached out to you. You got to set aside that time frame, and then you got to start. There's many ways to do this, and if you can focus in and hone in on 2 or 3, it will work beautifully for you, and you make a great living farming.
And I also think too, please understand, this is something that takes time to work.
Yes.
This is something that just doesn't come in overnight. There's going to be many, many, many follow-ups. If you could put in your mindset that you're here to provide a service for someone, to give them knowledge, to educate them, and let them know that you're here to help them, what's going to happen is you're going to start to build a rapport. And the rapport is the way that you're going to build a relationship with these individuals that's in your forum, right? If you're just trying to go after the listing, they don't know you from a hole in the wall,
Yeah.
right? And they got other agents that's trying to hit them the same way. So let's go ninja style, as we call it, and get to know them. Find out what their wants and needs are, right? You know, as you get to know them, you're going to find out who's the neighborhood gossip, I call it. You're going to find out who just got divorced, who just died, who got married, who's getting separated, who's looking to downsize, upsize. You know what I mean? It's just, you're just going to be able to gather all of that information, but it's not going to happen until you develop a relationship with them. And
Yeah.
first you must help them and let them know what's going on in the area. And once they see that they like you, they trust you, then more than likely they're going to do business with you. But keep in mind too, just like Deb said, they may not be wanting to move or list their home anytime soon. But you know what? They may have a friend or family member or someone that they know that might be looking to move or sell. So at the end of the day, those people will refer you business because they like you and they trust you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You go to the next one?
Oh, the next one, yeah. Why do you want market share in a community? This is really important because here's your why. Here's my why for you. You want the brand awareness. We're fortunate to be with Century 21. We are the #1 brand in the world. Everyone knows us already. They're going to get to know you as Joe Smith with Century 21. That brand will attach to you, and it brings a lot of great professionalism and that attaches to you and adheres to you for a long time. They're more apt to talk to you than being with somebody with 100% company. If you think about that, it's true because the brand awareness is a lot in this business. What's the other reasons? You get signage, you get listings. Guess what? Your sign goes up, your name goes up. People start seeing your name. Hopefully you've got a picture on your sign rider showing your face, and they'll begin to recognize you. That happens very quickly when you start getting listings. It's all self-brand promotion at this point. So this is why you want market share, because once they see you around the community, they're going to start recognizing you, and now you've got first top of mind awareness with them. You can use social media to create this mind share too, and geo-target geographic neighborhoods and become the go-to neighborhood expert on Facebook. Your monthly newsletters we were talking about are going to create a social environment for you to really be that social advisor in the neighborhood every month with your newsletters. Thomas, you were going to say something?
Yeah, sure. And with the mind share, creating a mind share, you know, we're talking about market share, right? Mind share. If you can create 20% of mind share, and how do you do that? You want to maybe create a Facebook page with a group, right? You may want to go ahead and take a picture of that subdivision, that little, you know, stone that's out there with the name of the subdivision. Like if you go to Panther Trace, they have different subdivisions in there, right? And they got like a panther in there. You can take a picture of that. You can talk about the HOA. You can talk about the amenities and things of that nature. Take pictures of that and post it on your Facebook page. And then you could do drip campaigns, right? So people say, well, how are you going to do a drip campaign? You can go to Coles Realty, you can get their email address, you can go to Remont, you can get their email addresses, and you can start sending these things to them. You can start inviting people, you know, to that community because you already have their names. Yes, you got their names from Remont, so you can go ahead and put that in a search bar and invite them to that page because they live in that community. Okay. Also, there's another way that you probably can do that too. I mean, if you go to the Forewarn app, right, and you want to get phone numbers from there, you can put the person's phone number, you can put the name in there, and they actually show you the address. So if you have that on your phone, you can actually look that up. That's another way that you can gather information. So, and you can start inviting those people to your community. So by doing that, you can put just listed, you can put just sold, you can talk about open houses, you can do a newsletter where you actually literally do a little video and you can actually talk to them about it. So there's just so many ways, guys, that you can literally just go out there and farm with social media. You right?
Yeah.
Because we're talking about mind share. When we talk about mind share, we're talking about top of mind. That's all we're doing. And I guarantee you, if you do this for 12 months straight, trust me, you're gonna have business. Bottom line.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're
Okay?
gonna have a
And-
lot of business. Yeah.
Right. And it just goes back to what we said, yesterday, Deb, when we talked about my scheduling, right?
Yeah.
Put this in your schedule and it won't be hard. It's only hard when you're all over the place and you're not organized.
Yeah, and this is a great platform to stay organized in a really central little area. You've got bragging rights there when you do your just listed, just sold. That's going to get your name out there. You do that on social media. You can do the mailers. You can door knock with the flyers. You have the ability to do open houses in your farm. And guess what happens? You get your open house signs out there. People see you all over the neighborhood on the weekend. It's amazing how quickly you will become well known, especially if you start doing open houses in your farms. You can do, and I had an agent that did this. I love this idea. Every time she had a closing with a buyer, she did a welcome to the neighborhood party for the buyer within 2 weeks after they moved in. Diane did this. She made a lot of money, guys, doing this. She would buy, it depended, 4 or 5 good bottles of wine or 6, invite just a local street in that neighborhood, maybe 30 to 50 people to come and meet their new neighbors for 1 hour. She'd have a little cheese spread set up. That's it. She'd spend less than $100 between the wine and the cheese for that afternoon, but she'd be there serving everybody. She sent out first class invitations to this wine and cheese, so all the neighbors would come to meet their new neighbors. If they were teetotalers, she had ice cream socials. Or if you get a family neighborhood with kids, do the ice cream socials and with some wine for the parents, Get creative with this because you can own these neighborhoods. And Diane owned really her whole area and did seriously $250,000 a year farming here in Sun City Center for 12 years. So, and that was a fun part of her business, was doing these socials. You're gonna have less
That's a great idea.
Yeah, it is. It's such a great,
Yeah,
it's so fun
mean,
too.
It's fun, especially if you're working, working from your own neighborhood, right?
Yes.
What better way there is to get to know the neighbors and just have maybe, cook some burgers and hot dogs and invite them in, I mean, how cool is that? And to do that for a person that just moved into the area, that's huge.
That's huge. I'd set a grill out front and do hot dogs. Pass out hot dogs and sodas or beer, It's not expensive to do. It's all right up, but it's such a fun thing. And trust me, these buyers that just moved in will love you and tell everyone about you, and they'll see you working, serving hot dogs, giving people beer. Why? I mean, it's so fun, but what self-promotion is this? This great self-promotion.
Absolutely.
So less wear and tear on you and your car. If you stay localized, I did about 12,000 miles a year on my car. That's it. I had a lease, and I could stay very local and centralized with my business when I was farming, and it paid dividends to do this. And it was a lot less stress. So I'll go to the next one. There we go. So why do you want market share in a community? You just heard today about FSBOs and expireds. You're already going to know about them, because you'll be around. People are going to tell you the Joneses are getting divorced down the street. He's already moved out. Do you think they're going to have to sell? Yeah. They're going to be telling you everything. You're going to know about the expireds. You'll know all the gossip that Thomas was telling you earlier. Who's getting married? Who's getting divorced? Who's getting job transferred? You'll be able to find out everything before any other realtors in the area are going to find out. This is one
I
of the
like that too.
Yeah.
Having a baby, I forgot about one. Who's pregnant? Who's having a baby, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
obviously that they may need a bigger home for that
Yeah.
person, right? Maybe they want to do it before, they want to do it after, but at least you'll know.
Absolutely.
That's huge. Yeah.
Absolutely. That's huge. You'll have, are you ready for this drum roll? The ability to double side more deals, right? You get the listing, you know the neighborhoods. The neighbors may find their family members come to you. Deborah, I see your listings down the streets. You just listed. I got my daughter coming in and she's got a baby. We need her close to us. We want to buy the house. That happened all the time. You're going to be able to double side more deals because people, when families move into Tampa Bay, I don't know about everybody else, it's happened to me. I moved here with my mom, and then my brother, my dad came, and then I got my stepdaughter. Everybody moves here. They don't move out of here. If you've got somebody moving into the area, they end up moving here and they want their family around them in the same neighborhoods. You're going to find a lot of that because the parents want to be close to the grandkids. The kids want the parents close so they can babysit. There's a lot of reasons why people move around each other. And that's a great reason to have a neighborhood.
Take in consideration too that, yeah, you double-sided, but
Yeah.
that person that's selling has to move somewhere too.
That could be a
Right.
triple. That'd be a triple
Thank you.
play.
That's a hat trick right there.
Yeah, it is. It's a triple play. So, I mean, it's amazing how much business you can just out of focusing on an area will glean you so much business. You will be regarded as a local real estate expert. This happened to me on my third house I listed at the end of 2002. I had the client call me. She had never met me. She had got all my mailers and she had got all my stuff I left on her door for 3 months. She was a day nurse. So, I mean, she worked nights. So I could never meet her. I didn't know her. She picked the phone and called me and said, Deborah, I have all your stuff sitting here on my kitchen table. You must be the real estate expert in the area, right? I had just started farming 3 months prior to that. I said, sure I am. She said, come on over. And she listed her house with me. Guys, you know, it's about getting your face out. And even if you don't meet these people, it's getting out the material until they're ready, when they're ready to move. So you want to become that local real estate expert and get the referrals. So Thomas, you know all the resources. You can.
Well, I think we kind of talked about this a little earlier, just
We
to
did.
recap, but IMAP Tax and the rstpro.com where they
Yeah.
pull data. And you mentioned about sending out the mailers through the UPS, USPS Postal Service, which is huge. Guys, if you haven't done this, please take down this address because I mean, this link, because this is huge. I mean, you can literally just captivate like 500 homes, you know,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
like a click of a button. You know, and I think what is it, like 19 cents or something like
Yeah,
that?
it's
Or-
really
yeah,
cheap.
it's something ridiculous, you know?
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
I mean, if you're able to just send out a mailer or a flyer or something of that nature, you know, because at the end of the day, again, like I said, you're building rapport. You're trying to stay top of mind, right? And I'll be quite honest with you, the mailers and the flyers and stuff are good, but that's not the key, okay? You got to build some rapport. You got to get in front of these people, right? You got to knock on the door. You got to make some phone calls because
Yep.
that's the way you're going to build relationships because everybody's doing this. What's
Yeah.
going to separate you? That just always remember that. What's going to be your unique selling position, your USP, okay?
Yep.
So we got to make sure that you're using some of these tools that we're sharing with you so you can have that USP. Again, go ahead, Deb. You want to say something?
Yeah, I was gonna just mention, if you're gonna door knock right now with coronavirus, you know, you can keep yourself safe. You can wear your mask, you can wear gloves. I would highly recommend, if you're gonna do it, take a baggie of masks that are pre-wrapped with you. You get them really cheap right now at Sam's or anywhere else. Hand them out. What a nice little thing to leave with a newsletter. Here's a fresh, you know, in a bag mask for you. Do you think they'll talk to you? Handouts, get the little small hand sanitizers to hand out. Do some stuff that is unique because most agents won't do this. So sit yourself aside and do this. Everybody's going to be talking to you through a door. If they come to the door anyway, everybody's protected. You can leave it on the doorstep for them. But it's still, they need to see your face. They need to know you're a human being and they need to interact. And you're going to be amazed at the number of people that will talk to you right now. They're all home. Think about that. They're all home.
Yeah.
Here in Sun City, they're home and alone. They will drag you in the house and talk to you 6 feet across just to talk to you. And because they're lonely, people need interaction. And now's a good time to get out and be safe and be smart and take some things with you to give away. It's worth the investment, small investment to do that. That's what I would recommend, to get your face out there.
I totally agree with you. And, you know, this accessibility, the proximity to schools, businesses, malls, airports, the Bay, the Gulf, that's huge, right? Because when it comes to selling, you know, those things are very, very important. You know, if the obviously the level of the schools, you know, if it's an A, B, C, or D, that stuff matters, right? You know, if you could avoid and get in a D school area, okay, but make sure if you are in that area, make sure there's some charter schools around, that's in
Yes.
the proximity, right?
Yeah.
Businesses and more. Maybe some people don't want to be close to stuff. So you just got to take in consideration what's important to you and how do you think about when it comes to, purchasing a home, because that's going to make it easier for you to be able to sell. So
Mhm.
just keep
That's
that in
absolutely
mind.
true. That's absolutely true. We can go to the next one. Okay, the downside, we'll go through this really quickly because I got really something exciting on the next couple slides. The downside to market share, you're going to be really busy making money. You've got to learn how to manage your time. Oh my God, this is big. You got to hire a personal assistant because you can't do all the clerical by yourself because you'd be so busy. You have to set up IRAs, plan trips, buy a bigger house, buy a boat, buy a nicer car, give your kids spending money or not. There's no downside. The downside is you're going to create a better life for yourself. And you're going to have more because you focus on some major things. So simple things. Communication is the key. You're going to have to learn how to communicate effectively. We've been talking about this. So consistency is the key to everything. Whatever you do it the same way every month, same time a month. And you're going to find out when you send out consistent things, people are going to recognize after the third, fourth month that they can rely on you because you're consistent. Now you become a real estate professional in their head because you're consistently doing something every month in front of them. So
I just want to share something with you too.
go ahead.
Stephanie on a chat, Stephanie Burrow said, I door hang Sun City in my area. They are amazing and loving and having people come to their house. A week ago, I gave away 400 bags of caramel corn from Popcorn Factory. They labeled me as a popcorn realtor.
That's it. I love that. I love that. Okay, we're going to get into the money. Go ahead and go to the next. We got to talk about, before we get in the money, we got to talk about how consistent your contacts are going to be. This is to everything you do in this business. And we all hear this, right, Thomas? I want to make 100,000 this year.
Yep.
It's doable. That's the good news. You can do even a lot more than that. But how many deals a month do you have to do? How many contacts a day do you have to do? You have to define that. We've talked a lot. Jeff has talked a lot about that in the last couple of days. And here's a breakdown. You want to do 3 contacts a day? Yeah, you'll be doing 1 to 3 deals a year. Okay. You want to do 20 contacts a day? Now we're getting in some serious stuff. You're making 25 to 35 deals a year. That's quantifiable, guys. Many years of doing this. This is what I see. So it depends on how busy and how much you want. This is what you've got to put into it to get out what you want. So you can do this by a combination of farming, of social media, of for sale by owners, expireds, but you got to figure out your contacts. Always go to the contacts. It is a numbers game. You want to make some great money? Think about 30 contacts a day. And how long do you think that takes a day? 30 contacts you can probably knock out in 2 hours, 2 to 3 hours a day. Am I right on this, Thomas?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, it's law of averages, right?
It is.
I mean, the more people you talk to, or the more no you get, the closer you get to a yes.
Absolutely.
So you have to get out there and you have to make the contacts, whether
Yeah.
you're going to do it by phone or you're going to do it by door knocking. Either way, you need to get out there and talk to someone about real estate and find out who has real estate needs.
Yeah.
Bottom line.
That's right. Okay, market share. We're going to talk about this because you want to focus on about 30% market share in your farm, because you're going to have people in your farm that already know Susie from Remax, or they have a relative that's doing real estate. You're not going to get everything, but 30% is a good number. And out of 200 homes a year, if you get in a neighborhood that's turning well, and if you're 15 to 20% a year, which is not unusual. If you get in a newer neighborhood, it's going to be lower. If you get into an old established neighborhood, it may be higher, but we're just going to use 20% as a ratio. Out of 200 homes, that's a potential of 40 listings and 40 buyer sides in a year. It's 80 deals a year potential. Are you going to get all that? No, but 40%, 30% market share of those 40 listings. If you get 12 listings a year, which broken down is 1 listing a month. Chunk that down to 1 listing a month. Now you're looking at, oh, that's market share. Okay,
Right.
let's do the
So
flip
let's
side.
let's take that a step further, Deb. Let's go back to getting one listing per month.
Uh-huh.
Finding maybe out of that 12 listings, maybe you might find 4 people that you might be able to double side that,
Oh, yeah,
Right,
absolutely,
right.
yeah.
and then all those 12 individuals have to purchase another home, whether
Yep.
it's going to be in the Tampa Bay area, or Pinellas, or out of state. Either way, we're able to help, right?
Yep,
Because
absolutely.
because we're part of the reload program. So at the end of the day, we're able to help them no matter what. So just
Absolutely.
think about the guys. Just think about the opportunity
Yeah.
that you're going to have just by doing this. 12 listings. It's just not the listings. It's all about the other opportunities that you can help others. Huge, guys.
That's huge. Yeah, and you're right about the buyers right now. One listing is going to bring you 4 or 5 buyers. Oh my God.
Right.
Yeah, it's truly, it's amazing. So if you go to the next slide, we're going to talk about the buyer side on this. So the buyer is the same side. So you got 40 buyers in a neighborhood, 30%, that's 12 buyers a year. Thomas just said you're going to get 4 or 5 buyers out of each listing. So this is even going to go up exponentially. So now if you get, being conservative, if you get 12 listings and you got 12 buyer sides, now you got 24 deals a year. 24. And
24.
that's amazing, guys. And then you think about the referrals that we were talking about, that you're going to get possibly 6, 7, 8 referrals because somebody's going to want to move to Brandon. Somebody's going to want to move to Longboat Key. You've got referrals, and with the way the market is now, with the extra amount of buyers out there right now, this is going to be exponentially a lot more. This is a very conservative schedule right here. But can you see doing 24 deals a year on this is going to create more business, and it goes down to the home price. If your average home sale price is 300,000, 9,000 per 3% on each side. We'll get to the splits in a minute. I'll show you that in a minute. I'm getting ahead of myself, but you can see where you could do 30 deals a year fairly easy in your farm. And I think you're going to do a whole lot more out of that because of the buyers right now out in the middle of it. So out in the area right now.
Right,
Go to the
because
next one. Yeah.
because I mean, as we know, it's still a seller's market, right?
Yeah.
We got high demand and low supply, right? So if we can, really just funnel on trying to get these listings, you're gonna own the market, guys.
Yes, you will.
So I mean, just think about this. I mean, you could be the one that's running around driving the buyers all around, or you could be the one that the buyers are coming to you, right? You're gonna be the active agent versus being passive. You're gonna get out there, you're gonna door knock and let everybody know that you got a home that's gonna sell. You're gonna go out there and you're gonna let them know that you're doing an open house, right? Those are the things that's gonna get you it's gonna get you buyers, but also gonna get that listing sold, right?
Yeah.
And it goes all back to what we said earlier. We already built a rapport with these individuals. They know who we are. It don't matter. If we driving around their car, they're gonna wave at us when they're walking their dog, right? Because they know who we are, right?
Absolutely.
They're gonna stop us and they're gonna say, "Hey, what's going on, Deb? Tell me about the market." You know what? I hear a lot of things. Is it really true? Absolutely. By the way, if you were to move, where would you move to?
Yeah. What do you know? This is now we're getting a little bit more exciting. Now we're going to get really exciting. And I'm doing a 70% commission split. It's just an average. It doesn't mean that's what we offer. We go from 50 to 90% with Megan. So, but an average, if you're looking at a $200,000 home with a 3% side, just one side is $6,000, that's 4,200 in your pocket. 30 of those are going to give you 126,000 a year. Let's jump up to 400,000. 30 of those are going to give you 252,000 a year.
$250,000 a year.
Changing your price point, huh?
$250,000 a year.
I mean, I hope this makes sense to you guys, because if you're at an 80 or 90% split, this goes up exponentially. If you're in the $500,000 price range, it's going to go up. Danya Perry, who is with Century 21, Jim White in, I think in Madeira Beach. She is the #1 agent in the world for the past 15, 20 years. She's awesome. Her farm starts at $1 million and she farms.
And just to go back to her, that's how she started, right?
Yeah,
Her story is door knocking. She
Yeah.
went into the $1 million communities and started door knocking, guys.
Yeah.
That's how she started.
Absolutely. Yeah, you've heard her story, Thomas. She's amazing. And she'll tell you, well, when my inventory gets low, the only thing I can do is go out and door knock. And she still does. She's amazing. So success leaves clues. These numbers should get you totally excited because this is reality. This isn't a pie in the sky. You're capable of doing this if you put in the work. We've given you some great tools today. Go ahead, Thomas.
I also want to say too that, this goes back to the discipline, what we talked about yesterday.
Mhm. Yeah.
If you say that you're going to make 5 contacts, or better yet, just say, you know what, today I'm going to knock on 10 doors. And you're at number 7 because it's too hot and you're sweaty and you just want to give up because you just didn't have the best of luck. You don't know what's behind those other 3 doors. So don't stop. Just keep pushing yourself.
Absolutely.
Because at the end of the day, maybe you may not get a yes, but you know what? It's a sense of accomplishment. I did what I set out to do. And that ain't enough is give yourself a pat on the back because
Absolutely.
you accomplished your goal. And you just continue doing that, guys. Don't go out there and short yourself, right? Don't push yourself.
Push yourself.
Because that's the only way that you're going to get things done. If you half-ass it, guess what? That's the results you're going to get.
Yep.
Bottom line. So you
Yep.
got to push hard.
Yeah. And you think about the image you're leaving out there when you're out there door knocking. People are going to see you. They're going to see consistency with you. They're going to see your work ethic. They're going to know you're out there in front of them every month. And eventually, they don't even want to talk to you the first month. By the 3rd month, 4th month, they're seeing you at the door. They're spilling their guts to you about their whole life. And that is how it works. So it is amazing what you can do in creating a farm. You've seen the math. You've seen how you can make an astounding living in real estate. What are you going to do with your income? That's a big question that Jeff has asked you to do. How many people can you help? That's our real why. How many people can we really help in the next year, in the next 2 years? How many? When you get that number, you'll know what the rest of your numbers will be. Any questions? Thomas, you want to wrap us up?
Yeah, I just want to leave this with you here. Dream big, work hard, and you surround yourself with like-minded people, guys. Because when you do that, you stay engaged, you stay motivated, you stay inspired. That's the only way it's going to happen. Because you know what? There's a lot of naysayers that's out there. There's a lot of people that's going to try to put you down. And when things are not happening fast enough, they're going to say, is this really worth it? But
Yeah.
trust me, it is worth it. And
Yes.
sometimes it's not always about how fast you go. It's just, if you're taking the necessary steps every single day to do the right thing, to reach your goal, that's what matters in the end. So
It does.
again, dream hard, dream big, work hard, and surround yourself with the like-minded people.
Excellent words
Yeah.
of advice, Thomas. Thank you. So
You're
y'all have
welcome.
an awesome day. Think about farming. Reach out to us if you want to talk any more. We'd love to talk to you.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.